It'll show over here.
Says stop back. Stop.
Probably too, it would help the echo if you turn your speakers down some.
Then I wouldn't hear nothing. How's that?
Testing, testing.
All right, it's live, so go ahead and introduce it while I get him straight.
Well, I got to introduce your show. Hey, folks, we're just playing around. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm Alan from Freedom Bushcraft. We got Mike Ware from Crash Bushcraft, and we got Little Junior over there, Caden. He is also with Crash Bushcraft. We got Tim as a guest star tonight, and we have an interesting night ahead of us. So let's get started. On you, Mike.
Caden, you want to? Anything you want to say?
No.
No.
Keep going.
What good are you gonna be here then?
I'm just
Anyway, tonight what we've got planned is some traps that we've set up, primitive things that we've actually gotten started with, things that you can do while you're out and about, when you're out in the woods. Each one of us made a couple of things, and what we'll do is we'll kind of demonstrate those. Now, Tim is with us, and he's from Ramsey Silent. Is that correct?
Ramsey Island.
All right, I got it. That's the first time I've actually pronounced that correctly. Tim has a big background as well in bushcraft, woodsman, survival, camping, pretty much living out, doing things on his own, making his own way with it. So we're going to pick his brain for a few things tonight as well. We all know Alan. We know his life story. We can watch it on YouTube twice. And if anybody ever wonders why I pick on him, it's just because I feel that close. Caden wants everybody to know that he actually has a channel now too. We just have to upload his videos, but his is more gaming. So.
I got other videos too. A video about another person.
Who wants to start? You want me to go ahead and let Caden do the two things that we actually have set up for him? The things that we done.
Oh no!
Yeah,
That
that'd be good. Look like you put some suntan lotion on here too, because that bad boy got burned.
We all got burned. Go ahead and sit right here, Caden, and I'll hand them over here to you. What we made was a fish trap. Things that you can actually do while you're out and about. If you were just, I mean, there's so many uses of a fish trap, but they're permanent. So while you're out doing other things, you can still be obtaining food. So it's in the trap part of it as well. And I'm going to let Caden explain how it works. I don't flip myself over, but it's actually a rather large one. I wouldn't recommend making it out of cane, which is exactly what I decided to make it out of because I've never done it before. So I wanted to make it out of cane. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot better if you can find some kind of branches or willow or something. But there's about 6 hours worth of work in this thing because of all the weaving and tying that I did with it. But if you'll explain to them, Caden, how does it work?
It's when the fish get in, it's a little hard to get out.
What makes it hard for them to get out?
Because the first hole isn't big enough to get in, but when they get out, they can't get out because the little hole's in there.
How do fish see?
Sideways.
So that's one of the things that makes it hard. But to set one of these up, it's this size of it, you would really want to set it up more at an angle because fish swim towards the bottom, apparently, from what I've read, so they would swim closer. But their vision doesn't focus straight in, it focuses more out, which makes it hard for them to actually figure out how to get back out of the tiny hole that they went in. Make sure that you leave it big enough for them to go to the sides of it, because if you don't, they'll eventually find their way back out. It's not a foolproof trap by no means, but it's a whole lot better than just sitting there going hungry.
Oh, now, Michael, you were saying that it'd be much easier with other kind of willow.
Willow would be my recommendation if you're around where you can get willow because it's so pliable and bendable. But saplings, anything that you can get a good bend to where you can tie it and weave it That would be for the round parts of it. Now your long straight sticks, you can use anything that's of any type of wood, but you'd want to be able to get some type of bow in it to make that the extra larger part for them to be able to move around and come up. But you can make a square box as well. It doesn't have to be round like that. That was just, I guess, more of an Indian style of it.
The part that was so hard to you that you was talking about with the cane or bamboo, was the hard part just splitting them?
The splitting, because cane doesn't split like you would think that it will. It doesn't split like just perfectly straight. So when you're splitting, I recommend a sharp knife because you're going to have to kind of cut and keep it straight. Because if you just think you're going to whack it one time and get it perfectly straight, you're not. You're going to end up with 2 or 3 different shapes and sizes going down. It'll split this wide, and by the time it gets down to the end, it's this way and 2 foot shorter than the last piece you just cut. That's the first time I've ever done one with a cane. So would I ever do another one? Only in a survival situation. Only in a survival situation. And that's all I had. Anything else, I'd probably do like you did in one of your old videos out there. I'd make a weird and I'd rush them right off into an endo.
The native fish trap.
Yes. We have the other one that I made, and I made it for 2 reasons. Since I had cane, I wanted to stick with cane because I've been working with it a lot. I went ahead and I made him something that he can play around with in the yard. I would recommend a little bit thicker bow type style, but if you'll, the way I did this one right here, the cane actually split on this one right here after I'd made it. And I shot it about 5 or 6 times, and then he shot it probably, what, 10, 15 times maybe?
I don't know what it means.
How many times did you shoot this?
I don't remember. It was like 2 days ago, probably.
It's 2 days ago. I can't remember. What I did was right here in the centerpiece. I know it's kind of hard for you
I'm
guys to see
thinking
it,
it's 20.
but I tied another piece in. Then I put him a
I'm
leather,
thinking 20.
and then I tied it to where it actually gives it another set of springs.
It's a
And
good thing you tied it.
for a kid, it's perfect. But
It's a good thing you tied it more, but better because the other one was.
it was weak, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then I just made him an arrow
Hard to do.
out of. I've got a bunch of these dogwoods that I cut them every year whenever they come up. I got a place that where the dogwood had fell over and the shoots were shooting up the side of it, so I take and do them that way. Okay, come over here, and I do them that way, and I dry them out, straighten them out. This one I just made it real quick, but what I went with was a bamboo or cane pole point on it, and I tied it and weaved it. But I shot it earlier out of there, and it shoots pretty straight, just to be the way it is. But I mean, for a kid, it's perfect. For me, I would actually go with a little bit stronger, bigger piece of it. But that was the other thing that you can actually kind of make. And don't be surprised when you start fooling with cane at how sharp the cane pole will actually get on the sides. That thing on the side, it's the point right here. You can whittle that thing down and smooth it down to where it is. I can cut you with that right there just by pushing in on it. It's like a paper cut in itself. The other thing that I made real quick, yeah, that's not. You want to tell them what that was, or do you remember?
I don't remember what it called.
I made a video on this. I just made this thing real quick. There's different ways,
I know
different
what it
things
does.
you can do. What do you do with it?
You throw it, it can be like a bird and a turkey. You can throw it at it and it would get caught, so you can have a better chance of killing it.
There you go. It's just an entanglement. It's what it is. You can make them out of stone. 3 stones and about a 4 foot to a 4.5 foot is pretty much anything that we have here in the lower south that you would want to catch. It'll entangle it, get wrapped around its feet and pull it down. And when it does, then it's up to you to kill it.
I'll be back in a minute.
Well, it's 15 after almost. But that's the 3 things that I had actually went with. So
The ones who are hearing the echo, thank you for letting us know. We're aware of it.
It's loud.
It'll have to go on for just a few more minutes, and then we'll stop it.
Just for about 2 minutes.
And hello, everybody who's in here, and thanks for showing up. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I mean, that was pretty much it. Caden's got about 1 more minute, so I'm going to let him talk. And the echo reason it is I don't have a dual port jack, as Alan called it, for double headphones for the two of us. He just wanted to be on here for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to let him talk. Well, I know, but if you'll go ahead and tell him anything that you want to tell him that pertains to bushcraft or survival. Nothing? Well, I'm going to mute this down. I'm going to go ahead and get him ready, and I'll be right back. So, Alan, if you'll get with Tim there and y'all talk just for a second.
All right.
Tell everybody bye.
Bye, Caden.
Bye,
All right,
Caden.
Tim, did you have something to show and tell, or no? Are you hearing me?
Oh, yeah, I have a couple things. I don't know if they're going to work, but we'll try them.
Okay. Have at it.
I didn't have 2 trees, so I used a crutch.
All right.
This is called a windlass motor. It's just a rope wrapped twice and tied off. You wind it up, and it gets to be really strong. At this point, it's about 25 pounds of pressure. So you think about throwing a rock as hard as you can that weighs 25 pounds, and the impact of it is what somebody's going to get hit, what the animal's going to get hit with.
Wow.
It uses an easier, well, it's a deadfall trigger that you can use on any kind of deadfall, a lot easier than a finger 4. It's just it's called a promontory peg trigger.
Okay.
But it's just a split stick. I use one with a branch coming out for a bait stick. And it gets pried underneath. It sets up underneath the stick like that. When an animal comes in and touches the stick, it whacks them.
Huh.
Normally you put a nail in here, but obviously I didn't want to spike myself because this is a really unsturdy rig.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I've never actually seen that one before, and I thought I'd seen all the traps.
You get that one out of the way quick. The other one is a bird trap. This one I don't think is going to work. I had it set up outside and it was working, but that was when I had it in my vise.
Okay. Is that triangle bird trap?
No, it uses a rock
Oh.
and a string that gets fed through the hole here that goes through the middle of the stick.
Raise it up just a little bit so we can see what you're doing.
All right, give me a second.
All right.
You
There
see
you
it now?
Yeah, I see.
I guess I gotta maybe go up a little higher. All right, this thread goes through the stick, and you make a loop just so it becomes a snare trap.
Uh-huh.
Then you have a branch or a peg that fits into this hole with a little notch carved into the bottom of it. That
Okay.
notch rests on this knot. So you have your snare, and you have a knot right here in the string, wherever you want your snare to end. The peg gets put in just so that its friction just kind of sets there. It won't even stand by itself. But the weight of the knot pulling on the bottom of the peg.
JD outside said, what was that called?
The Predator, or which one? The trigger?
I'm assuming he's talking about the one you're working on now. He says,
I
what was that called?
don't even know it.
Oh, he said the first one. The first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
That's a promontory trigger, or promontory peg
Okay.
trigger. Well, anyway, the idea is that it's not going to work if I can't hold the stick straight and set it all up, because it's just a hair trigger.
Yeah.
The peg gets held up by this little knot right here. So that's all that's holding it in there. As soon as a bird sets down on the snare, on the peg, to pick up whatever you have as the bait stick, the peg falls away, the rock falls down, and it catches you.
Huh.
The rock, in this particular situation, being your spring.
Right. And
obviously any snare is going to work with that.
do you recommend that? Do you recommend that that's a trap that people should use to catch birds?
Honestly, it's probably the most effective trap I've ever found at catching, if you want a dead bird.
Okay.
I mean, because it's pretty much guaranteed if that bird lands on that peg, it's caught.
Right.
There's no way it can get away. It's instantaneous. It's going to grab it and either literally almost cut its head off or collapse around its lungs and suffocate it in a matter of seconds, because it's how much ever weight the rock is on the end. I mean, I used a fairly small rock. Probably would have worked better with a big one, but like I said, it's hard to do these in a house without having a living tree as the steady, because it's a hair trigger.
Right. Is there a place where somebody can go, like a name of that? Is there a place on the internet where someone can go to see how to do that? Because I'm sure they couldn't see good enough on the screen how you made that. And somebody like JD outside or anybody out there may be interested in making one. Do you know where they can go look to see a step-by-step detail on how to make it?
Yeah, you can. Pretty much all you have to do is do a Google search on primitive traps, and they'll show you a number, and then you click on pictures, and they have a number of really nice diagrams on how to make it.
Right. All right, that's cool. Appreciate it. Everybody who's in here last week, I had mentioned, I think it was last week when I mentioned Southpaw, Southpaw. And I was telling y'all to go look at her channel, and she was selling the pouches that she's making, and I mentioned her daughter, Jessie. Well, she has informed me that that is not her daughter, Jessie. That is her niece, Jessie. So I want to make sure I get the record straight that that is not her daughter, that is her niece. Just to make sure all that's clear. All right, this was Mike's idea to come up with all of this trap stuff for us to show y'all, which I think is really pretty cool. I hope somebody's learning something off of it. I was notified. They give me the cheesiest ones to make. Mike picked mine for me. He said, why don't you make a snare and a spear, a frog gig spear. So I went ahead and did it. And I'm going to show y'all. Most of y'all probably already know how to do this. This is a frog gig spear. I don't know if I can get it up close enough where you can see the barbs on it.
I got a question. Is this thing flipping over for everybody now to where you can see Alan?
But I made this real quick, and this is real easy to do. I got a video. I'm going to post it tonight so y'all see how I did this. And basically, all I used was, I used my new saw, of course, to cut this limb, and I just cut it short for bringing it in here, you know, so I don't have to have a big spear. But is Alan showing? Oh. But if you're doing this, or if I was doing this, and I have done this in the wild, I would make this 6 foot or longer for sure. For me, one, I'm 6'1" and I have long arms, and I like my spears to be long so I can, you know, reach out and get the frog at a distance. And I don't know if anybody's ever been frog gigging, but basically you don't throw it like you do a spear at the frog unless you're very, very, very good at your aim. But frog gigging, when we used to frog gig in boats, we would pull up as close as we could, spotlighting the frog, and you hold the spear down and get up close to the frog and just jab it, and that's how we'd get them. And basically, this is a remake of the same frog gig that you can buy out the store, except the one out the store is going to have 3 prongs. This one has 4, but you can easily make this a 2-prong, a 3-prong, or a 4-prong, or even a 1-prong if you put a barb on the end of it. And I showed you on the video, so y'all can watch that later. When you cut this stick, basically all you're going to do is take your knife, do a split down and a cross to where you have 4 prongs here. You'll tie a string around down here, right about here, so it don't split no further. And I use dental floss. Dental floss works good for all sorts of things. I use dental floss. Then you start carving it. Once you split the cross down, you're going to go ahead and just carve it like you would a normal spear. Get you a semi-point on that, and then you'll take your knife and stick in there and open it up wide enough to where you can stick one of these sticks down through there. And then you'll put a stick on each side, and that kind of opens it up for you and gives you more room to work out of. And you can tie these sticks on if you need to. A lot of times you don't need to, but I did anyways just for the sake of showing it. Tie these little sticks down here. But all those sticks' purpose are is holding the barbs apart, like that. But after you get them apart, you carve a point on them. You put a little barb on the end. Usually if you got your multi-tool, I use my saw and my multi-tool to do that, and my pocket knife. And it's a very simple spear to make in a survival situation. You can spear frogs, fish, whatever. Make sure that you make the prongs long enough for whatever you're wanting it to go in. I mean, I could have put this thing way down here and had prongs that long, you know, to go through fish or whatever. But you got to wonder or worry about the longer you make it, the easier it's going to be for it to break probably.
Did you harden them?
Yeah, you see the fire on them?
I thought you did.
Yeah, you hold them in the fire to make them hard where they're not real breaky. And I would prefer, like I showed on the video, to get a piece of dried wood that's already dead and dried and hard. Because if you go get a green wood, most likely it's going to be too flimsy, too bendable, you know, and you go to stab at a frog or a fish and it's probably going to bend instead of go in them. Or there's a chance of that. And of course, in a survival situation, you don't want to take a chance of losing your only food that might have been tonight. So, got that. And then
one of the things to remember with that is, especially with the fish, don't think you're going to stick it in there the first time and get it. When you see a fish, it'll take a couple of times to determine whether you go 2 foot in front or 2 foot back.
Yeah. And Mike suggested that I do a snare. And I think mostly everybody here knows how to do a snare, but I'm going to show you the way I do mine, a little trick. I'm using this wire. I don't know what it's called. I call it snare wire. If I'm out in the
tripwire.
If I'm out in the field, I got my multi-tool or whatever, I'm going to clip this wire. And like I said, I think everybody knows how to make a snare, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. I'm going to borrow the stick that I have. See this little twig right here? I'm going to break it off. Maybe. All right. Now the easiest way when I'm out in the woods to make a snare, you You make your wire however long you want to make it. If I'm making a spring snare, I will use string and wire. I choose not to put all of my wire. It takes a little bit more than what I choose to use to make a spring snare if you're tying from a tree down for a spring. So I'll make a snare out of the wire and then tie the wire onto the string that goes to the spring. But show you a neat little way to make the little hole to put your snare through. Let's see if I can hold all this up on camera. All right, this is the wire. You see this little twig? Just put your twig in that wire, fold it down over it like that, and start twisting. You twist it about a good however many times you want, really, but I would say at least a good 15, 16 to 20 times. And once that's done, get the twig out. Having a hard time finding the camera here. And you got that perfect little hole. Okay, once you got the hole, all you do is slide the other end of the wire through it. Just like that, and you got a perfect snare. It's not going to hang as long as you don't kink it. It slides very easy. Pretty simple way. And for snares, while we're on that subject of snares, for one, when you're in a survival situation, I think as everyone should know, the more you put out, the better chance you have. If you go put out one snare, you might as well give it up. You're 99.9% of the chance you ain't going to catch something if you only put one snare out, depending on where you put it, of course. But I would look it up if you're interested in this, because I'm not going to explain it all, but if you're interested, look it up. But some of the main things, your skill's not really so much in making a loop in the wire. That's not where the skill set is. The skill set is on knowing where to put it, knowing how to put it. For instance, if you're putting it on a rabbit trail, you don't want to just put it in this big open area of a rabbit trail and leave it open. Of course, you're going to want to build a little funnel wall on each side of it so the rabbit has no choice but to go through there. Because animals are like humans, they're lazy. They don't want to go through any more work than what they have to do. If they have an easy trail, they're going to go down the easy trail instead of go through a bunch of brush. So do that. Find your rabbit trail or whatever you're trying to snare. Basically, it's all in. If you can look up trapping or read anything about trapping, it explains all of the basic trapping boils down to the same thing for trapping with snares. Find the trail, find out where the animals are going. Look for poop, look for footprints, look for trails, however you want to do it like that. Put the snare down, build walls on each side of it to funnel them in, and try to keep your scent off of there if you can. And probably if you're in a survival situation, you're stinking real bad anyway. So your scent's going to be pretty bad, but something I would do would be take dirt, get handfuls of dirt and rub it all over me off the forest floor. All right, I'm through running my mouth.
I agree with most of that, like you said, with snares and stuff. I mean, the more you have, the better your chances are. Depending on the season as well. I mean, if you're in an area that doesn't have a good water source, doesn't have a good food source for anything, you can go set snares up all day long on Highway 27 in the middle of town, and you're probably not going to catch anything. So because of the area in there, but knowing your surroundings is what makes the biggest difference in any kind of looking for food.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like the pancake batter mix. I've never thought about pancake.
That's something too I didn't mention as far as snaring. One of the best places to snare is by animal's water source.
Definitely. Around here, it's illegal for us to use snares. So if anybody decides that's watching this, make sure it's not illegal for you. And if you do, just don't get caught, because here in Georgia, it's like your privileges for trapping will be gone. And
all primitive traps, for the most part, are illegal in almost every state in the country. So they're only if you're in like dire survival situation can you use them to live. Otherwise, if you get caught, you're getting in a lot of trouble.
like Alaska and places like that, snares are still available and used there. Other places, they'll still allow snares. I think in Florida, I think they're still available, or you can use them. But I know whenever I get my trapping license every year, there's a little test thing that they'll send us, to make sure that we still understand the rules and regulations, this and that. And snares is like number 2 on the list. Number 1 is not carrying a weapon with you to dispose of the animal. Well, since we got a guest tonight, let's pick him for something. Anybody got any questions they'd like to know? So we're gonna dig old Tim up.
Well, let me say real quick too. I was going to say this: where survival situation in the law is concerned. Most of y'all know me. I don't like the law, anyways. I don't like the law, and I don't like the government, and I won't go into all that because I don't believe in advertising that kind of stuff all over YouTube. I don't think it's a good idea. But in a survival situation, there is no law. All right, if your life is on the line, don't think about the law. Don't ask yourself what season it is. Do I have the right to kill this? If you're surviving, you're the law. If you're in a survival situation, y'all understand what I'm saying? There is no law if you're in a survival situation.
The way I look at it is what you're trying to say, and the way I would look at it in that sense is, which is better, death or a fine?
Yeah.
Well,
as far as just how
in a true survival situation, most of the time, any laws you break are going to be forgiven.
I think a lot of times
they don't even look at it.
I have read articles and stuff where these things have happened, and for publicity, they were charged but not fined. And they do it, I think, a lot of times the reason that they do that is they want to say that they stood behind the law, but yet there was a reason they didn't fine you. It's kind of like getting a speeding ticket and going to court and they throw it out. For everybody that's against that type of situation, they're washing their hands with them. But then on the other side of it is, it's a good thing he did this, or he wouldn't be here today, or she wouldn't be here.
All right, let's talk.
I'm looking at the snares for Alan. You're like a squirrel stick snare. Let's see if I can get this up here. The most common problem people do with these is they don't put the snare on the wire attachment on the bottom of the log. You want your loop up here so the squirrel is leaning against a tree, squirrel walks along into the snare. But you want it so that when it falls, it hangs from the tree.
That's a good point.
So many people set it up like this. The squirrel walks in and he's like, "Oh, I don't like this. I'll just back out." But you want it so that while he's walking, he falls over and he hangs himself.
That's a good point there.
But one of the about things I've seen on YouTube is how to properly set that snare. You always want it on the bottom where it's attached to the pole. And then the loop up here. You'll show it a lot of times, but also screwy looking. That's why. Because they want the loop here attached down here. And you also have to make sure that you set it high enough so that when the squirrel falls down, so you don't down at the bottom of your stick. You want them up here towards, not by the tree, but close enough that a squirrel will hang, not actually touch the ground with your snare.
All right, you're froze up there. We're only seeing your picture. Now you're moving. Yeah, that's something I didn't mention. Yeah, that's a lot of good points there. And another thing on setting squirrel snares, if you're putting them on a log like that, be sure to put more than just that one, because the The squirrel got brain. He knows to
Yeah,
walk
you
around
want
in
3
it
or 4 at
again.
least.
Yeah.
What is y'all's most or the most used method of obtaining food?
Of obtaining
Also,
food.
yeah, while you're out. I mean, if you had to, what would you use? What would be the first thing that you would try to make to obtain food if you had nothing but just your knife?
Depending on where you're at, I think my first thing to obtain meat food would be some sort of fishing. I'd either make a fishing pole or make a native fish trap, or both. Actually, you should. And that'd be my best way. That's one of the reasons I like staying by the river so much, because it's a food place. You know, there's fish, there's mussels, there's crawdads, there's everything in the river. You know, and it's a lot easier to catch the stuff out of the river than it is to catch an animal walking through the woods.
How about you, Tim?
I agree with Alan. There are a number of things you can do, like your fish trap from a 2-liter bottle of soda. You have the cone, put some holes in the back so the water can flow through. You'll catch all kinds of bait, fish, crawdads, all edible, real easy, out of a plastic bottle you'll probably find laying around. It works with any size bottle. I just use a 2-liter bottle because it's easy demonstration.
Yeah.
Do you sew it together, or do you just push it in? Like when you cut it, do you try to push it in?
I attach it in 3 spots on one side. These are all sewed together. And then on the other side, there's just a slip knot that you can untie to get your bait out. And then you can put it back in,
Right.
tie your line, and you're good to go again.
And if
Alan likes earthworms the best.
yeah,
It's just a safety measure.
that's what I was laughing at. If all else fails, yeah, go grab you some earthworms. They'll dang sure put some stuff in you. But me, if I have any other choice, earthworms are nasty to me. I ate them. Y'all saw me eat them, but good God, that was nasty. Now,
The next thing I say,
Tim, you had mentioned before that you actually liked eating the earthworms, didn't you?
no. No worms for me. I use them to catch things to eat. Example, a splinter and some fishing line. You slide your earthworm over the splinter, you leave that out in the water. When a fish eats it, you pull the string, that opens up inside them, they don't get away. You can also do this for birds. Just slide it inside, bird eats the worm, they try to fly off, bird doesn't go anywhere. I like to use fat wood for my slivers because it's more durable and it doesn't get soft in water.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of eating bugs and worms, it came to my attention the other day. I was having a conversation with my stepson, and he was saying something about eating grasshoppers and crickets and all that stuff. And yeah, I've done that before too, and all that's fine and dandy. But before anybody who watches these TV shows and watches us talk about eating these grasshoppers and worms, and you want to run out there and be a survival person and just grab you a grasshopper and eat it, what the TV don't always show you is that those grasshoppers and crickets may have parasites all over them. So if you don't cook them, you're likely going to eat the parasites, and that could not be a good thing. So before you just go out there and have fun and eat a bunch of grasshoppers and crickets, put them on a spew, put them on a little stick, stick them over the fire, cook them, get rid of the parasites. And it don't
I agree 100%.
And it don't take but a few seconds to hold them over the
Eat a
fire.
raw bug.
Do what?
I would never eat a raw bug. I agree 100%.
I don't know what I'll do in a bad situation. I won't say I won't ever eat one. I have eaten many of them. I won't say that I won't resort back to the prehistoric days of a caveman and go chase me a deer down. It just depends on how hungry I get. On that bolo thing, I talked to Alan before about it. I have one of my uncles, Johnny, he's about 71, 72 now. And a lot of these things is I was very fortunate to have a lot of uncles that done a lot of hunting, fishing, and they still kept to their heritage and their ways of doing things. And I remember as a child going over to my grandparents' house, and now this is about like 1972, 73, and it was, you've heard the old term, a one-room shack. Well, there was one large bedroom, one living room area quarter that housed another set of beds, and then one kitchen and a hallway. And that's all this was for 13 kids that lived there. What my mother was one of 13. And they all lived in that one area. I mean, you know, it was like bunks on beds, side bed. You got out of the bed, crawled over another bed, over another bed, over another bed to go to the bathroom, out 40 yards away from the house. And but I remember going over there, and he would always come back with tons of fish, but I had to call my mother to make sure that I wasn't bad, or memory wasn't bad. But he would deer hunt with those bolos. I mean, that's how he would go out and catch a herd of deer and sling those things at 6 foot on 4 to 5, 6 foot, whatever it was. And you're looking at roughly a 12-foot span of rope flying through the air. You know, that's a huge amount of a spread. That's better than a shotgun. But once you got it on the ground, you know, it's up to you. You know, he'd come back with little scrapes and cuts and stuff. But that's how they fed themselves there. They, you know, there was no legal season. There was no legal this and that. Of course, you know, you're also looking back, you know, those days things were a little bit different. But when I go over and see him every once in a while, he's still got a good memory and stuff, and he'll always give me these scenarios of why you want to know now. Why you wait until I'm too old? You know, this and that. And he said, well, why don't you just go to the grocery store? That's what everybody does now. You know, but occasionally you'll get him in a good mood, and there's so much wisdom that is still there that has been lost. And I guess that's what draws me to most of this, is being able to know that I've got, you know, we've talked about the books and stuff. I'm just fascinated with those things. I mean, to be able to do something that, you know, sure, I can grab the 270 and go out there at 150 yards, pop a deer, drag it home, clean it, stick it in the freezer, and I'm good to go. Or I can go down here to the store, or I can go into work, for that matter, and get ground beef, pork, and chicken, everything for about 60% less than what anybody else pays for it. But just being able to go out and do those things, it just puts a satisfaction. Does anybody else have that sense of pride, I guess, when you go out and do something?
I do, of course. I didn't learn all of my stuff from uncles or even family members, which I learned a lot of stuff from family because, like me and you talked about before, as kids, we were made to go play in the woods. That was,
well, you didn't have a choice. I mean, it was like, sun came up, you eat breakfast, now go. Don't come back.
And so we learn a lot of stuff on our own that way, even all the way back to building shelters, which we've talked about before. As kids, that's what we did.
You know, huts.
Yeah, huts and forts, and we never really knew it was a name. We'd go build a lean-to shelter and say, come look at my fort. We had no idea that was a lean-to or a A-frame or whatever.
It's amazing, you know, and I understand things have changed drastically, you know, our lifestyles and everything has, you know, and I would not dare. My son is not allowed to go get the mail across the road unless I'm with him. You know, I guess it's just too many cars, you know, when you think about it, you know, and I'm only 45, 46 now, something like that, but when you think about it, we would go to town and you might pass 15 cars on a 12-mile stretch. You pass 15 cars walking to get your mailbox. I mean, it's like, man, where'd all these people come from?
Yeah. And I'm like you, in my woodsman.
I
When
do.
I go out there and relive it all. Every time I go out there, I kind of it takes me back and it feels good.
I think a lot of the folks that, are in this bushcraft, woodsman community and stuff, we all have that same yearning, of wanting to go back. And then some of the younger ones are just wanting to learn. And I'm proud that there's so many people that now are getting into, and maybe it's always been that way. Maybe I've just been blind and none of the folks I hung out with or was around, were into it.
I remember times when I even living in a city park like Forest Park, Georgia. I was in a foster home and I'd run away and I'd go live in the woods for a long time, like 3 weeks at a time. But it was right behind the neighborhood. There was woods and a river back there, and a whole bunch of woods that not too many people really played in. And I'd go back there and build me a hut, and then show some of my friends where it was. And really, that wasn't a survival situation because I had friends bringing me steak to cook over the fire, pork chops to cook over the fire. I had friends bring me ketchup and all kind of stuff. But I was living in the woods, and it was cool. I remember Chief Nakahama's son. I used to live right next door to him. He would come up on a motorcycle and beat the horn, and I'd be back there in my shelter, and I'd hear him. He'd say, "Hey, put your fire out and come on." And I'd put my fire out and come and run, and we'd go party.
I mean, that's at 6, 7, 8 years old. It wasn't nothing for us to have a fire in our hut.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
get smoked up in there sometimes because we didn't understand the concept of a chimney. And come rolling out of it, and your eyes would be watering and bugged out. But
yeah.
I agree with what John said. You got to have it in your heart. I think if that's what it is, I mean, it's in you. You got to have a desire to want to do this, and
Yeah.
it's some people might be playing baseball. Some people might be play soccer. Some might be going to the movies and stuff. If that's what makes you feel good about it, then do it. But with mine, I'm very proud that it's something that can feed me if things
Yeah.
get bad. It's also something that I enjoy.
Hey, Parker Rich.
There's Parker. I haven't
Um,
seen him on in a while.
Me either. What was I supposed to say something? Oh yeah.
Have you seen Trevor's place?
Have I?
Trevor Fillmore, that place that he's got on the lake up there?
Pretty sure I have. I don't know.
I've done a couple of his videos. I was watching the other day whenever he done the tag that you tagged me in with it.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, Trevor. It's a heck of a view. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'll get turned sideways, and I'll put it on my big TV right here, and I'll just sit back. All he needs to do is build me a fire. Now, what I want you to do, Trevor, is where you got your camera set up, I want you to go to your left, your right, about 5 feet, and then I want you to go out about 15 foot behind it, and I want you to put a fire there. Turn your camera just about like this, angle, and you can sit over to the side and talk, and I'll just watch the fire in that view.
He was talking about it being in the blood to do what we do. I think that has a lot to do with it being in the blood, but I also think it has a lot to do with how the parents raise their kids.
Yes.
I think if you're going to raise your kid up and let your kid stay in the room 24 hours a day playing computer games and never take them out in the woods, well, how's it ever going to get in his blood? It's how you raise your kids if they're going to really get into this stuff that we're into. If you don't introduce them to it at a young age, then they're probably more likely not going to get into it. If you wait till they're 14 or 15 years old and say, "Hey, let's go camping." Camping for what? I'm playing a game on my computer. They ain't going to care nothing about it. Silence.
I agree.
Well, Tim?
I'm sorry I'm not talking more, guys. You guys are really choppy. I don't know what's going on.
Are we choppy to everybody else too? Shout out to all the BBWs.
Well, our temperatures here are hitting the 90s. and at night they're running about 65, 68. I mean, I'm almost tempted when I get off here tonight to go string up my hammock on the front porch and just kick back.
Man, I want to get out there so bad. It's been driving me crazy.
You ain't the only one. It's driving me up the wall. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I enjoy our Monday night shows and stuff, but that was actually the only nights that I could go camping because I have to be back at work Wednesday, but, you know, I'll deal with it because I enjoy the show as well. So, and plus I get to learn stuff too. I mean, not just from you guys, you know, that come on here and stuff with it, but from other people, you know, they pop that little comment section over there where they'll be chatting back and forth. There's all kinds of good information on it.
Oh, yeah. I've been working in my shop every night now, so that's also keeping me from camping, but we're having like 90-degree days and 60-degree nights here, and I'm loving the nights, and I'm thinking I could deal with this, you know, camping. So I'm wanting to kind of put my work aside and just head on out there. And I got a question. If anybody was fishing, what is today, Mike?
Today's Monday.
No, I guess I should have known that more than anybody.
It's Manic Monday. Sing it.
Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Is there anybody else out there that went fishing Sunday and didn't get a bite all day? I've done talked to 3 different people that fished Sunday and didn't get a bite all day, and I'm wondering what the deal is. If anybody subscribed to that girl, Armed Rogue, is that her name? Armed Rogue?
Yeah,
she did too. She went fishing and she said she didn't get not one single bite all day. And Tim went fishing and I think he caught a little catfish and he said bass jumped out the water and spit the hook back out of him, caught him stupid, and went back under.
Now, I'm no huge big fisherman as in like a pro. I mean, I go and I enjoy it. But wasn't Friday the last of the full moon?
I don't know.
I believe it was.
I think it was.
And so with the first part of the moon, fishing sucks because they pull from the full moon is when they do their best fishing.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I've heard. But I've also been told the best time to go fishing is when you can.
Yeah, I didn't. Saturday or Sunday was horrible.
How about your question? Go ahead, Tim. I just noticed you started talking.
Saturday and Sunday were both horrible for me. I got that one little catfish, and like Alan said, I had a bass that spit the hook and called me stupid. Sunday, I didn't get a bite all day long.
You know, last year
it was free. It was free fishing weekend in Wisconsin, so we all just figured that the DNR made a deal with the fish to tell us all to screw off.
Last year, Caden and I and my father-in-law went fishing, and he was fishing with crickets, and he throwed his line out, and he started reeling it in. He said, "I think I got a fish, Dad." And he's just pulling it in, and it's bent down, you know, the pole. It's just kind of a flimsier rod. It's kind of like a micro fishing rod for him, and he's kind of bending down a little bit. Just, you know, I thought, if it's a small one or it's going to be something other, you know. All of a sudden, it gets about maybe 3 foot from the bank, and there's like this thick moss that grows up, seaweed that grew up around there, and every fish that we caught, you'd have to fight them through that and snag them and pull them, and, you know, to get them through it. And I said, well, let me go ahead and reach down there and get a hold of it and get it through the moss for you, because he was having a hard time with them. And about the time I got ready to reach down there, I just stepped 1 foot off and reached down and grabbed it. 7 pounds and like 8-ounce bass off of a cricket and a hook that was like a number 2. And, now, needless to say, it's been in there. We took pictures of it, and I got all the dimensions and the weight and everything, and my wife's going to have it mounted for him. It's like, I ain't going to say nothing, because I don't think I've caught one that big in quite a few years. I mean, it's like 22 inches long. I mean, it's a big old, well, inside the cooler, I think I posted pictures of it last year on Facebook and stuff, but it's a full-size cooler, and it's from one end of it all but about 3 inches on the other end of it, stretched out inside of it.
Dang. Hey, something I want to bring up while we're well, not while we're talking about it, because we're not talking about it. But my sister has just recently started doing a whole lot of hiking, and she's been taking pictures of snakes she's seeing. And I was on the phone with her tonight. She called me to ask me questions about snakes, and she asked me what should she do if she's bit by a copperhead or a cottonmouth, which is a very common snake around water areas. And copperheads are not, which I was explaining to her. Don't think a copperhead's only going to be around water. Copperheads are all over. I've seen them way, way away from water. Cottonmouth, on the other end, I don't think I've ever seen a cottonmouth probably no more than 30 or 40 yards away from water somewhere. But not that's not saying that you won't see one further away. But what I wanted to talk about is if you're out in the woods and you're going camping or you're going hiking or you're doing whatever you're doing in a place where there's liable to be poisonous snakes, which are mainly all over America, um, look it up. Don't sit here or take our word for it. Look it up, because I got my sister to do that tonight, and she actually was reading it to me while she was looking it up. What to do if you're snake bit by a poisonous snake, copperhead, cottonmouth, or whatever. And you'll find where it tells all this stuff about what happens to you, or what it's going to feel like, what it's going to do to you, and what you should and shouldn't do. And mostly what she read is what I told her what I knew anyways. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they get bit by a snake is start panicking. Oh crap, I'm bit, I'm gonna die. And you start panicking and panicking, and your blood starts rushing, and now your blood's rushing, and you're making that venom travel all through your body a lot faster than it would if you was to just calm down, be easy. And I know that's probably hard to say. It's like, yeah, how you gonna be calm when you just got bit by a cottonmouth and you're thinking you might die? But if you look up the statistics, and I'm not a very statistic type of guy, but there's not a whole lot of fatal deaths from cottonmouths or copperheads. But mainly, the whole secret to not dying, I think, is to stay calm. Stay calm. Don't get too crazy. Don't, wherever you're bit at, make sure that's not above your heart. Like, don't lay down. If you lay down, you're allowing the blood easier to run up to the heart, because you're trying not to let the venom be transferred up to your heart, or really any. You don't want the venom to transfer no more than what it's got to be. Now, we've heard all of our lives to tie a tourniquet around it. Well, the internet says you shouldn't do that. Now, whether I'm right or wrong about that, I don't know. I don't even know whether to believe that on the internet yet. But the internet does say do not tie a tourniquet tied around a snake bite, or above or below. But I always heard you're supposed to do that to keep the blood from going past that point. But now the internet says you're not supposed to do that, so I don't know. But my whole point here and what I'm saying is be safe. If you're going to go out there and go camping and stuff, get educated on snakes. Look it up. Find out what's the best thing to do if you're bitten. Find out what kind of poisonous snakes are in your area, what they look like. Because I'll tell you, if you're in a wood that's got leaves in it and there's a copperhead there, if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you're not going to see it. Because a copperhead just blends right in with everything that's on the forest floor.
You know, the thing about a copperhead too is they're not just the same color. I mean, there's different colors on those. They have different patterns to them as well.
Yeah.
Yours is bears, mine is snakes. In the wintertime, where I'm at, I can get a good 5, 6, 7, 8 miles in a day and camp, plus eat, plus sit back and read a couple of books. In the summertime, 300 yards, I'm done wore out because I've been stepping lightly, very lightly. What's that? I mean, because the thing about it is you don't never know. And stepping over a log, I've been taught as a kid, don't step over one. I'll smack that log, beat that log. I'll get a flamethrower and blow out from under it before I go across it. And if I do have to go across it, I look way over the front of it, and then I get up on top of it, and I make about a 40-yard jump.
That's funny that you bring that up, because my sister, I was telling that to my sister too when I was telling her what to do and what not to do while hiking. I told her, I said, please look at the ground while you're walking. I said, look at where you're going. I said, if you come up to a log, don't just step over it. I said, there may be a big old cottonmouth waiting there to bite you as soon as your foot hits down. And she said, oh my God, I always just step over the logs. I said, well, don't. I said, what if a snake's there? I said, be safe. She said, well, you're saying look at the ground while I'm hiking. The whole reason I go hiking is to see the scenery. I said, well, look at the ground. If you want to see the scenery, stop. Look around you, then stop and take in the view. I said, while you're walking, look at the ground.
The majority of the time, I mean, I've been fortunate, I guess. I've seen plenty of snakes out there. As long as I can see them, I'm happy with them. We're good to go. It's that little fella I didn't see that I don't like. I mean, if I don't, an anaconda can be going across in front of me, and I'm fine and dandy with it, as long as I can see him. Now, when he's turning and starts coming towards me, now he's going to be a little slick because he's going to have to be going through all that stuff I just dropped out when I took off.
That's a good idea, my woodsman, letting your stick go first.
I'm like a blind man.
I tell you, if y'all, those of y'all who have watched my videos from the very beginning, you've seen the one where where I killed that cottonmouth and ate it. Well, I tell you, that cottonmouth was sitting in between a cypress tree root, and I was like 1 inch away from putting my foot down. I was walking and just caught it out of my peripheral vision, something in between the roots there. And it was a big cottonmouth, a big one. I made a hat band out of them and I ate them. But all I had to do was keep walking. If I would have put my foot down, he would have got me. And something else, like who just said that? I think it was Parker that just said identify them. Or was that Eagle John? But yeah, identifying them. Yeah, look up the poisonous ones that's in your area. And I was telling my sister how to know a cottonmouth. If you're in an area where you got cottonmouths, water snakes, a lot of water snakes look just like cottonmouths. And it's hard to tell the difference, especially at a distance. In Florida, the water snakes will get up in the trees and fall in boats as boats go under them. And
That's
people
why I
will
went down the Chattooga River.
and people will go teetotal crazy thinking it's a cottonmouth in their boat because it looks just like it. The Florida water snakes are dark brown and black, just like a cottonmouth. But if you're in the woods and you come up on a cottonmouth and you get it to curl up and it sees you, the way you're going to know it's a cottonmouth is real easy because he's going to open his mouth real wide and say, hey, I'm a cottonmouth. As soon as he opens his mouth, you can't mistake it. Inside his mouth looks like a big old ball of cotton. And that's one of their defenses, is opening their mouth to show you. So, but yeah, look it up, man. Do your own research. Be safe, not sorry. Look it up, study. And it don't take but a few minutes to look up and say, what should I do if I'm snake bit by a poisonous snake, and read it.
With my garden and stuff, that's a prime place for snakes. And when I'm out there picking through it and stuff, I just focus on getting vegetables, because if I don't, I won't go out there in it.
I see rattlers and water mocks where I work at all the time and run them over or kill them. I've always lived in a place that has rattlesnakes, but I can't say that I've ever seen a rattlesnake in the wild that I saw first. Like Harmony Hall, when I was out at Harmony Hall, somebody caught a rattlesnake out there, but I'm not the one that's seen it. But as far as me being the first one to see it, I've never seen a rattlesnake in the wild.
Oh, we've got plenty of them around here.
Have you seen any there?
Yeah. There's bukus of them. And the funny thing is people with a rattlesnake, that they say, oh, you'll hear the rattler. You do, but you don't know where it's at, because it sounds like you're just in a complete, I don't know, like you're in a round room and you don't know what you're blind, because you don't know, you don't, because it's a weird echo all the way around you.
Yeah. That's something my granddaddy taught us.
We have
He always said that, my granddaddy always said that when a rattler rattles, he's going to make it sound like it's a circle of rattlesnakes around you.
Yeah. The thing about it is if you hear no sound, and then all of a sudden you hear the rattlers, chances are, if you're walking at a distant, a safe space, you're not running or anything, he's probably 4 to 5 feet away from you. I don't know how they see. I guess they see in the, what is that? The kind of like the thermal imaging or something other. I guess that's how they see and stuff. So, I mean, they know what's coming long before you do. I don't know how far their eyesight is, but if chances are, if you hear the sound, you're better just to stand still. Don't turn around and go back neither, because if you're walking at a brisk pace, you may turn right back around and walk into him.
I don't think it's so much their eyesight as it is their heat sensors.
Yeah.
Hey, Briar Goat Killer. Man, we got all the big time people in here tonight, don't we?
We're booming. They
Well, since it's technically after the show,
Yeah, it is
I
after the
can
show.
I can show Alan. When I was out fishing. I stopped at a gas station, and I saw something that reminded me so much of him. I had to get it.
Okay.
I know you always love your hats, so
Yeah.
I found a bear hat.
a bear hat.
Bear hat.
You can see me wearing that out in the woods if one of the bears come around wanting some. That's pretty cool. Is that a real bear head?
No, it's just a stuffed bear head.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Won't get me a bear this year, I think.
Get you a bear?
I think I might. I've let her raise 2 sets of cubs. So I'm thinking, I don't know how, I mean, I don't know. She's almost become a buddy in the woods, I guess, in a sense, because I've seen her for the last 5 years.
Man.
But see, we don't have a lot of them right here either. And
Yeah.
I don't know why she's not been, well, I do know why. Most of the people that hunt where I hunt at over there, they're them weekend warriors that just run to Walmart, grabbed up a new rifle, grabbed up a new tree stand, slapped them in some brand new camouflage, and they go on hunting this weekend. And they just drive down through the forestry, down through there, find a place they can pull off and start walking. They have no clue if there's water, food, or anything where they're at. They just pull off.
Dang. Speaking of bears, I come across a video the other day by accident and I watched it. It was about this bear trainer. He's actually the guy that trains all of the bears you see on TV. I don't know about all of them, but I know he trained that bear Bart, and Bart plays in a lot of bear movies. But I was watching this guy, man, just for entertainment, and he had this grizzly bear that looked twice his size in length as far as standing up. I mean, this grizzly bear looked like he could have folded down over the top of that man's head. And he was training that bear and wrestling with him, and they was filming it. And the bears, he got face to face with that grizzly bear, and the grizzly bear opened his mouth and fit that whole man's face and half of his head in his mouth, and just stood there like that. And that man let him. And I'm looking, and you can see that bear's teeth on the side of that man's skull, and the bear's just there. And then that man's like, "All right, back off." And the bear backs off, but the bear kind of takes his paw like he's knocking the man down. And the man's like, "Don't you do that." The bear starts doing a dance and stuff. But I was like, man, I'd have been done crapped all over myself, peed, quit my job too, because I wouldn't be training bears no more. Something that big, man. You just, if that bear was to go off, he ain't got a chance. They ain't going to pull that bear off before he kills him.
No.
I don't like bears.
No real different than the alligator guys.
Yeah. Now, alligators, I don't have a big deal with alligators because when I lived in Florida, I lived in Florida for 13 years, and alligators were everywhere. And it got to where, that's back in my drinking days, and I used to be crazy and showing off in front of my friends, and we'd be in a canal and we'd see a gator, and I'd say, "I'm going to get him," and I'd run and actually jump and try to land on top of the gator. But that was just out of pure stupidness and being drunk. But the gators just never messed with us then, so I don't have a big fear of gators. But when it comes to bear, man, I'm scared, just scared as all get out when it comes to a bear.
I ain't fond of alligators either. I don't think I like reptiles. I think that's what it is. There's no way I could have been a caveman.
I love reptiles. Always have.
I like them on the spit. See that this little cane pole stuff is just so fascinating. That like a little spear point thing. But there's shovels you can make out of these things, like with a big enough one. You can sit there and make little scooping shovels. I mean, that stuff is sturdy.
I like that too. That looks like a good spear point.
Well, that's what I got it for. I've got a wooden walking stick that I made about 8 years ago, and occasionally I take it with me. But most of the time, you can call them sissy sticks, is what I've been taking lately. But this thing fits right inside of the edge of it right there. But I mean, it's a nice little point. But that bow that I showed earlier, and I didn't really kind of get focused in with it too much with it, that little point that I made on it, just out of it, just for it, it's mostly for Caden to be able to stick it into the target that I've got out there.
Yeah.
It sticks in pretty good. I mean, but I'm going to make another one. But I'm going to get a pole about this big, or a cane pole about that big around, to where I'll get a wide back. The thing about these things is, I don't know, does it show up? I mean, can you really see it? Anybody else?
Yeah, I see it.
You notice how it's made with a cane pole? You turn it the opposite as you would with a piece of wood. This is the back, the outside of the cane pole. You actually turn it out, for your bend. Because if you do it the other way, then it doesn't have any flex. And I don't know, I mean, this is just, it's kind of, the string's got a good little, I mean, it's perfect for Caden's size, but it don't have a long enough draw for me. And that's how it got cracked, because I overdrawed it. But I put that other piece on it. But at about 20 yards, it'd take you about 5 minutes to get that arrow out of your rear.
Man, while you're talking, I'm reading all these comments. And my woodsman just spoke of they closed down a trail due to a black bear mauling somebody that was in a hammock. Briar Goat Killer just told of a bear that there was on the news tonight that tried to take a mama's kid.
Man.
Golly.
We found him off barehanded. He fought him off barehanded. Man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can see that. You let something other start attacking Caden, and snake or not, I'm going to be in the same situation. Now, words, they don't bother me at all until I've had my fill.
That's pretty sad, though, if you think of it like right now, and if that just happened, what Briar was talking about.
You won't be camping no more in North Carolina, will you?
Well, what I'm thinking is it's springtime, so there should be plenty to eat out there. Why did that bear go after a mama's kid?
If it's close to a park, people feed these things.
Yeah.
They leave garbage, trash, and stuff.
I could see if it was wintertime and the bear's starving to death, that would make a little bit more sense. But to do that when there's food out there, golly. That's what I always worry about when I'm in my hammock out here, because those who watch me when I go camping out here, I'm always in the middle of a blueberry patch, a wild blueberry patch, which is perfect for bears. And I always wonder, if a bear come attack me in my hammock, I'd be doomed anyways, because I can't even, it takes me 10 minutes to turn over in that hammock, much less try to get out and fight a bear. So I would just be doomed.
I hadn't got to respond back to him because I just got the email thing in there. Frog Tack, did you see his video where he was selling the pack that was a little bit too much for him right now?
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
It's sold already, but I was gonna buy it. It was $150, and he had looked like the King Canteen and basically the Pathfinder canteen set's what it really was, sort of. And one of those serrated knives that everybody's been buying and stuff. The big Woodland camo rucksack backpack with a kidney pack and everything with it. I mean, it was probably a little over $300 worth of stuff. And he was selling it just so we could get him something more fitted for what he needed.
Huh.
I don't have a need for the back. I really didn't have a need for any of it, I guess. But, I mean, it was just such a good deal. And I know where he's at. I've been there wanting to get something I can use, you know, as opposed to take a loss on something.
Yeah. Yeah, Harrison, if I eat all the blueberries, I'd be fine. Then I'd smell like a big giant blueberry for the bears.
Where do you find most of your snakes besides the water? 'Cause I know that's where you live at.
I find a lot of them right here in my yard, but just walking in the woods, period. I mean, there's snakes everywhere, really.
I know, like when you're blueberries and stuff like that, for some reason rattlesnakes love blueberries.
I've never found a snake in that particular spot where where I'm camping in the blueberries are. Now, I found snakes on my way there before I get to the blueberry area, but I've never seen a snake actually right there in the blueberry areas, and I go through there picking the blueberries a lot when I'm out there.
I don't know why. I hear, you know, we get them, and mulberries too. They'll be right around the base. I'm just wondering if that's just a good hunting ground for them because of the actual, like, mice and things like that would be scavenging around underneath there trying to get the wild berries that have fallen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody said assume the fatal position about the bears. Jimmy Fish did, and then my woodsman said assume my pistol.
I read that.
Hey, they're coming out now. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the gun laws and everything, but and I don't know all the details of it, but my stepson Austin, who's here with us right now, just got his first pistol, and he sent me a link to where they're trying to make it legal now for felons that were arrested or non-violent felons to have their gun rights back. They voted on it. I was like, shoot, yeah, I'd love to have my gun rights back. We was fishing the other day on the Cape Fear, and black dude come walking up to us, had a big old gun hanging right off his side. Everybody was looking like that was weird, and I told my wife, I said, shoot, if I had my gun rights, I'd look like Clint Eastwood walking around.
In the county I live in, it is very common for anything from a 380 all the way up to 45s.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the grocery store, 15, 20 customers a day come in with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a common thing. I mean, and, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I don't carry mine, you know, out and about most of the time, but I don't know why I don't, other than I just don't.
I would carry mine. I finally got my wife willing to get her one since I can't have one, and she'll carry it with her. Her and my stepson's going for their concealed carry permit soon. They got to go take a test.
I guess one of the biggest things after working in law enforcement, when you start out in detention and stuff, you really learn that you don't have something that if you're afraid to use it, don't carry it. You know, if you're not afraid to use it, put it on there.
Yeah.
You know, and I see a lot of the folks that come into the stores and stuff, I could disarm them and without them even knowing it because they're not paying attention to it's on their side, and it becomes such an everyday thing like a knife and stuff that you really watch it, I guess. I mean, you could just reach in and just take it away from them. I mean, a lot of them don't even have the clips with a latch over the top. You know, it's just a free stick, and you know, like the Uncle Mike's and stuff like that. Just push. And I guess that's what scares me is a lot of folks, I think everybody needs those rights. I mean, I think it's a good idea that they have it, but know how that weapon functions and know how to protect that weapon and how to keep it safe. You know, and that's what scares me is I know some of the people I've seen come in there, ain't no way in hell I'd go around a prime shooting range with them. I mean, I don't even, I hope that they're not even loaded because they're gonna, one day they're going to be walking in the store and kill themselves.
That's a good subject too, and I was brought up with guns, and I think most of our age group was brought up with shooting guns and taught the right and wrong ways to handle a gun. But if you got kids and you're just now teaching them how to handle guns, please teach them the right way. Teach them, you know, like we were when we was little. First thing we learned was don't never point the gun at anything you don't plan on shooting. Don't never point the gun towards where there's a house at or where there's people at, unless, of course, you're planning on shooting somebody. But we had a guy over here, I guess it was a couple years ago. He moved in with us for a little while. His name was Rob. And he was teaching his little daughter, I think she was 13 or 14, teaching her how to shoot a bow and arrow. And that's just as, I mean, that's as dangerous as a gun, you know, if whatever you're shooting is in range. Well, they was out here in our field, and he set up a target towards the road, and there's houses all across the road right there. And I was looking at that, I was watching him, I didn't want to tell him how to raise his daughter or nothing, and my stepson was out there. And so without trying to be rude to that guy, I walked up to my stepson, which was standing right there beside him. I said, Austin, you always remember what I taught you. Don't never point towards houses. And that guy looked at me like he knew I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, man, you got to point and direct that to houses over there. He's like, well, it's just a little junior bow. It probably ain't going to go that far. I said, yeah, but man, dang, teach her to not shoot towards houses. Then I had my brother-in-law over here, and he had all kind of guns. You know, he's an adult that was never trained on guns. And he will get out here, and there will be a bird sitting in a tree right in front of a house, and he'll aim at it. And I'll damn near knock the gun out of his hand. I was like, man, there's people living in that house over there. Well, I was pointing kind of upwards. Man, golly, don't point towards the house, dude. Wow, the silence.
Oh, you were talking.
Oh.
Just messing with you.
Yeah.
You're on the roll. We didn't want to interrupt you.
But I was reading some of the stuff up there.
I just think it's something people take too lightly, you know, and I don't know how people raise their kids or with it or whatever, but I wonder, you know, don't get a gun and give it to your kid and say, here's your first gun, go out there and shoot it and be careful. That ain't how you train them, you know.
I think I started out with, of course, we started out with bow and arrows. I've had bows. I mean, it just runs in my mother's side of the family. I mean, that's one of the things. Learning to shoot with a bow, I think, helps you with a rifle as well, because now you learn the safeness of it and stuff like that. But we've had weapons ever since we were, 5, 6 years old. We were off in the woods with an axe. You know, but I don't know that but it was a common thing then. I mean, these were everyday tools. You busted firewood, you know, you learned to carry it, you know, first. Yeah. And after a while, you begged and pleaded to swing that thing. And then once you busted your first log, you never wanted to see another axe again. Because it was like, go get some firewood, boy.
Yeah. I know. I guess it was 7, 8, maybe 9 years old. I was walking around with a .22 rifle by myself shooting squirrel.
We've always, we just grew up with them. I guess with the shooting thing, I'm not, one of my friends, I've talked about him before, you know, he's just unbelievable with firearms. But he shoots continuously, and I guess that's something like 22s. There's such a shortage, you know, I guess, and I see people that are paying like $30, $40, $50 for a box of 500 rounds.
Yeah.
I've had probably 15 of those 550 rounds now for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
My eyesight's not as good as it once was. I can start to tell that. But I can hit my target. I guess some people, I guess they like to go out and shoot. You know, that's their passion with it. Nothing wrong with it. I don't go out and shoot that often. I mean,
I don't either. I got that muzzle loader, and I don't hardly ever shoot it. But I do love going out and hunting.
I'll sight mine in to make sure, and generally it's 3 rounds, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's what I was taught. 3 rounds for sight in, and if you pull the trigger, if you need more than 2 bullets to finish it off, you did something wrong.
I guess the reason I use 3 is I know the first one, it's just to break me in. Boom. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good to go now. That's all it does. But I'll tell you one thing that I did buy, and that's the 270. Don't be fooled by a
12 gauges.
A 270. This thing has a synthetic stock. It's light. I mean, it weighs less than the 22 Marlin that I got. I mean, it's super light. When I bought it, I thought, you know, 30-06 is kind of putting, you know, I'm tired of it a little bit because I wasn't holding it right at the time, you know, and I finally learned how to do a little bit better with it. But when I bought that 270, that first round I fired off in it felt like somebody just hit me with a sledgehammer. I don't know what I did. I guess I was just nervous and spooked about the thing. But now it's a breeze. I learned the recoil pattern.
270 is my favorite gun.
I remember deer hunting about 15 years ago, maybe 10, probably about 10, I guess. Between 10 and 15 years ago. It's not relevant how long ago it was, I guess, but I wanted to go hunting so bad. And it was just dead set that I was going, and I climb out there, get up my tree stand, set that thing up, and it starts raining. And I sat out there in that rain, and I'm talking about a downpour of rain. I was soaking wet, but I was not going home till I got a deer. It finally quit raining. I sat up there, I climbed down after about 3 hours after it quit raining, just getting close to about 4 in the afternoon. Started walking back because I was done. I started to get a little chill. Go back, get ready to unload, look over to my left, and there sits a 6-pointer. The sad thing is, whenever it shot him, he hit the ground. I went over there and got him and looked over there. He'd been in a bedding area maybe 35 yards from my truck the whole time.
I'm enjoying reading all this chat.
We'll change this channel, show over chat.
Oh.
I'm going to let them chat all night long.
Give a shout out to that girl named Armed Rogue. I don't know how many of y'all know her. I just recently subscribed to her. She's new to me.
I love her bow shooting.
Yeah, she bow shoots every single day. She shoots 1 arrow a day every day. And she's doing some kind of 365-day challenge, survival bushcraft or whatever challenge. It's pretty cool. She uploads a video every day of something she's doing bushcraft wise or survival wise or whatever. Maybe it's prepping.
So, Alan, you're a conspiracy theorist?
Say what?
Are you into the conspiracies?
No. you are being paged, Mike.
Yeah. What's lumberman hay Mike wear? Or what did I do? Did I miss something?
I was wondering if he was going to ask you something.
Am I missing anything?
don't know.
I'll
I tell you what,
put
they got a
my
bunch of
here
good.
a little bit. So
I mean, I seen one of the comments up there for $99 and stuff. And one of the local pawn shops around here, they're selling 100 for $20. And they can't keep them in. They're just buying them. And I don't understand what the shortage is for it. I mean, I guess I just didn't keep up with it.
I
I
don't
think
know.
the strategy is to make more money.
I don't know why she shoots on her knees, Parker.
I don't really have much of conspiracy. Me and Alan talked, well, I talked about it, and Alan made fun of me. I understand how the world has to run.
I tell y'all, I had a feeling the other day. It put me back in my prime. For those of y'all who know me and know my past, I walked outside the door. I was going out to smoke my pipe, and there's a police car sitting right there in the daggum yard. I backed up. I backed up a little bit. I told my wife, I said, "Why is there a police sitting in our yard?" Finally,
Actually, he
police
called her from the woods.
That's what it should have been. My mind was like split in half. As soon as I seen it, I was like, "Oh crap, what the hell?" And I was kind of looking towards the back door, and I'm like, "Hmm." I'm thinking, well, he's sitting out there by the road, so maybe he's not here for me.
I like walking up to them and asking them what they're doing.
I went ahead and went out on the porch. I mean, we got a giant front yard out here, and he was sitting like directly in front of the house, but out there by the road. So I walked out there on the front porch and loaded my pipe and stood there for a minute, and then a police SUV come up, and I was really like, oh crap then, but they talked for just a second, and then they both drove off.
I agree with Walmart and stuff like that because a lot of them are selling it to the friends. Those 50 packs, they were $3.99 at Walmart, the Thunderbolt or something other. And one of the boys that used to work for me, he worked up there, and he asked me, did I want to buy any? I said, no. Did you want to buy some? And he goes, dude, he said, we can make a ton of money. He said, when they come in, he said, I'll hold them and I'll sell them to you. And I was like, no. He goes, why? I can't buy them. I said, you need to find somebody else. I said, I said, that's what's wrong with the economy now is people, trying to cut a shortage with everything. I've always been one of those. You quit buying something, and if everybody quits buying it, that price will drop.
Yeah.
That's just like, right now we've got an egg shortage. Anybody aware of the avian flu that's gotten into all the birds, the chicken houses and stuff? They're estimating right now a dozen eggs at my store. We used to sell them all day long for $1.09 for a dozen. I mean, all day, every day. Now they're $2.79. They're expected that if things don't change, if they can't figure out another way of supplying it, that the cost of a dozen eggs in the store that we're at, here in the South, will be $3.89 to $4 a dozen.
Huh.
Good thing I have a friend that gives me all the eggs I want straight out the farm.
I mean, I don't remember how many millions of the laying hens that it killed. I mean, it destroyed them.
Hey, Prelude.
There's Prelude.
The Garden Man.
That's one of the problems with the big farms that they have now. One chicken gets sick or one cow gets sick, and every cow's got it. Every chicken's got it.
Does anybody eat Mexican beef?
Nope, not me.
You sure?
Not that I know of.
I don't know if I'm sure or not.
Look, next time you buy your meat, look at it, especially when it's on sale. It'll say USDA inspected, but look and see if it's got origin on it. It'll be product of Mexico.
Hey, Parker Ridge. I see a lot of your farming videos. Where are you? What state are you in? That's pretty cool too. for those of y'all who like farming, Parker Reed's got farming videos. Watch his videos, and I get some of my questions answered on how they do these crops out here.
It's the Mexican beef lumberman. That's what it is. It's basically where instead of them grain feeding them and doing all the better feed and stuff, they do like they do. If you watch the movie Lonesome Dove, they run them across these pastures in Mexico and they just graze them. They don't feed them any kind of grains or anything like that. Whatever they got on them is what they get. They pop them and process them and send them over. You can tell the difference. It'll be a pinkish steak, like on your ribeyes or even your. I mean, they're okay. Your ribeyes, if you'll run them through a tenderizer, they're okay, but they're tough. They're not like a regular grain-fed beef.
Yeah. Hey,
but that's why they charge $2 to $4 a pound less, on them.
Mike Ware just ordered him a dehydrator, y'all.
That's right. I'm gonna start dehydrating my hair.
I love the dehydrating. Oh man, that sucks, Parker. I can't stand the trolls. I guess I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't been trolled too much out of my years on YouTube.
But you are now.
Too late to take it back. Wow, 30 miles of farm. Golly. I know I've seen in some of your videos where you show the crop, the fields, and I'm like, golly, that just goes on forever. Pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome.
Soylent Greens. My wife is on a sugar ant killing spree. Has anybody else got them?
I know we do. They're every daggum where in our house.
She has this concoction all over the house. She's a Facebook queen now. She never even heard of Facebook until I told her about it 2 years ago, and boy, was I on that stuff. She takes these cotton balls and mixes it with borax and sugar and water, and they're everywhere in the house. But we had them. She's about gotten rid of them, I guess. But you could just see a little trail of them. They're just little sugar ants. We've had the exterminator here, and he says, "Ma'am," he said, "there ain't nothing we can do." He said, "Yeah," he's the one that told her that that thing would actually work and told her where to find it at. But it seems to be working. I put 7 dust out all the way around the house, but once they got in, they're done. And I reckon them things multiply quicker than Chinese.
I know ants are smart. If you read the Bible and read in Proverbs, it refers to the ants a few times, telling us to be like the ant.
Yeah, we've been lucky this year. I haven't seen hardly any ants at all.
I don't like fire ants either. Seems like I'll be out there working around in my little backyard bushcraft area, roll one of my stumps over or something, and them little fire ants not paying attention. All of a sudden, you'll be slapping at your legs and your arms. And it's like once one bites, it just sends a signal to every one of them. Pow! They all latch on at the same time.
Yeah, and that's about the truth, too. It does.
Yep, it's a pheromone that they release.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they can keep their pheromone to themselves. I don't like them. They right there behind snakes.
I went in our bathroom the other day, and there was ants all over the wall. Those little bitty tiny black sugar ants, all over the wall and all over the sink. And I don't know what they was eating, but there wasn't no bug spray around, and I just rolled out of bed, so I just picked up the hairspray and sprayed them. Now we got a polka dotted wall because it stuck them to the wall. gonna have to go in there and wipe them down. But it killed them all. The hairspray killed them. I was wondering, about bug when you spray that bug spray. Something been on my mind recently is they sell that bug spray, and if my wife or whoever sprays something in the kitchen or anywhere on that side of the house, the
Where do
whole
you
house
get
back
that?
there, the whole house back there will smell like bug spray. What I wonder is that killing us breathing it in? I mean, that can't be good for you.
Well, I'm sure it's gonna kill you one day.
So,
But you can't take that bag off your head when you're spraying it.
oh,
Yeah, you really shouldn't spray it and stay in the house.
say that
Where
again.
do you get that Bifen XTS? What is that? Weapon machinist. Anybody? I don't know what that is.
I'm saying you shouldn't use bug spray, like at least a lot of it, and
Yeah,
stay in the house. It's just like a bug bomb or
yeah,
anything else. Spray it and leave for a little while.
yeah. I was kind of figuring that too because I know as bad as it stinks, I'm thinking, golly, all this got to be going in our lungs as we're standing here breathing it.
Yep, yeah, it's not good at all.
Mike, I had something I was gonna. I think it was the. Never mind, crickets and grasshopper thing. I was trying to think. I know I had something I wanted to talk about on this show, and I think it was the cricket and grasshopper thing.
I know that you had talked about it the other day that you wanted to mention it at one point.
Yeah,
Whenever, kind of jumping back into that, what we were talking about earlier and stuff, how often do either one of you two sit down and get a creative mode or whatever and decide to make something you've never made that would be, bushcraft, woodsman, camping, do you ever just do it at home? Just out of the whim, just get an idea, see a book, see a picture or something, and say, I'm going to do that.
I do it all the time.
Go ahead.
I do it all the time. Yeah. If you look at my back porch, there's wood and shavings and sawdust all over because I have my Leatherman out and I'm just carving on something, making different trap triggers and random stuff and trying to figure out ways to use engines and stuff in different ways, trap engines in different ways for like fishing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Vinegar and Dawn works for piss ants. I'll try that one. That's me. I'm constantly, I don't know. I told Alan one time, we were talking, I think it was just the other day, you get me high enough in the air, I'll fly the space shuttle for you. I'll figure it out before we hit the ground. And that's just me. I see something other, I set my mind to it, I want to do it, and I'll figure it may not look picture perfect, but it'll get the job done.
That's something else I was going to touch on too. When Mike and I was talking the other day, and he was wanting to build something that I'd done built, and I told him how hard it was, and he was like, "Well, if you can do it, I can do it." And then he went in on to the conversation of he feels like anything any other man can do, he can do. Well, I feel like that too, and that's something I think everyone who don't have that kind of confidence in yourself, you should, because I've talked about it a lot in my videos when I'm out there camping. I look at stuff like you look way back in history and look at all the way they survived, the things they did, the things that worked. And I'm never one to think, oh man, I couldn't do that. I think if he did it, I could do it. He's a man just like I am, same body parts, same everything. So yeah, I'm strongly with you on that. What any other man can do, I can do.
And it's not bragging or saying that, I'm some superhero or something super this. It's just saying that competitive, I guess, in a sense. I can do that. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And the first time around it may not be the best thing, second time around it will, but I like to add those things to my little, just things that I've accomplished or things that I've done. You know, because one day it's, 45 or 46 has came quick, and
Yeah.
I'm sure 75, 80, if I'm lucky to see that, it's going to come quick too. And I want to be able to sit back and say, let me come here, boy, let me show you how to do that, as opposed to like, never did that.
Yeah.
Always wanted to.
I don't do a whole lot of
Yeah,
bushcraft stuff at
like I
home.
said, I love anything I think where I see up to prove that I can. You know, there are exceptions, like a friend of mine just did a 100-mile marathon, and he's like, "You want to come walking with me?" And I'm like, "No, no, I don't want to come walking with you. I have two bad knees, two bad ankles, and a bad hip. I'll walk a mile with you, but 26, you're on crack. You can definitely do that better than me."
Yeah. I hope that when I get real old, I don't know how old real old will be, but I always have in my mind and think that as long as my two legs work and I can actually walk and do something, then I'm always going to be doing what I'm doing now, bushcrafting, or basically it don't even have to be bushcrafting, just stuff I enjoy. I don't want to let age and bone pain and all that kind of stuff stop me from doing stuff because I mean, if you, I feel like if you hit that spot to where everything is too painful to do, well, hell, you just stopped living. You're alive, but really not alive. You're not living anymore.
My next door neighbor, she's 82, and where I live at, she used to own this whole area. And I told Alan about it yesterday. I planted a smaller garden this year because I really just didn't want to go. Normally, I plant ones about 60 foot by 150 foot, and I just didn't feel like it this year. One, because I knew it worked and stuff, and I've got so much stuff that I've canned already from the years before and things like that, and I just wanted a few things that we wanted. So she asked me about, because she used that spot because it's a great spot. It's where she used to keep all of her, the whole area that I live on now is used to be a nothing but a garden and a barn and stuff. And I told her, so, well, I don't care. So she had it plowed and tilled, and she got to going down through there and planted all of her stuff. Yesterday she said, hey, Mike, he said, you want to come over here and till it for me? And I was like, I will, but I was thinking to myself, hell, if I wanted to till it, I would have just plowed it myself. But at 82, this woman gets up and goes out and does more than 25 and 30-year-olds that I see. I've got kids that come in and work for me at the store, and I work circles around them, and they're like, but we're just so tired. I was like, from what? You worked on that one pallet from 6 o'clock until 11:30. I've done 4 plus run the store, plus made all the orders, and I'm still good to go. Well, you're just used to this. And I was like, that's the key. I'm used to it. You need to get used to it. Well, I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. You ain't in college, boy. You might be doing this the rest of your life.
I remember saying, "Wait till I turn 59 and then say that." And that may be the case. I hope it's not the case, but it may be the case. But out here in the country where I'm at, you'll be amazed at the very old people that you see out here working. Like Mike was just saying, I know one lady that's over 80. I know she was 82 a few years ago. I guess like 4 years ago, maybe. So, but she's still out here, and she cuts about 3 or 4 different houses on a ride lawnmower. She cuts her grass. And it's all people, her family's yards. I don't even know if people live in those houses, but she does it, and it just tickles me to death to see it because she is so old and wrinkly and just a little bitty old shriveled up woman, and she's out there on a riding lawnmower just to get it. It just tickles me to see it.
Arlen Burrs was a man that lived next door when I was a kid, and when I was a kid, he was retired. Like, he had always been retired. And I never really ever asked him his age because he was one of those people who's like, your mom and dad said, don't go up there, because he was just ornery, He plowed his garden every year and done all this stuff, and he'd go fishing with his wife and things like that. And it was just, Well, as I started getting older, I was a little unruly, I guess, because I wanted to find out what he was doing in that building. And I went in there, and he made fly fishing rods. Made them out of cane poles. That's why he had so many canes poles that he would have out there, and he'd make fly fishing rods.
Yeah.
But one day, that's right, he had about 13 or 14. I was up there watching him do it, you know, and talking with him, and I'd help him around the yard, you know, with his crates and things like that. And I asked him, I said, well, how old are you? Because he'd tell me about all the war stories and stuff, you know, he was in. He was 92 years old. I thought he was like 50, 55 because he looked as good as my daddy did. But I mean,
Grandpa's last year of deer hunting, he was 97. He went out 5 miles out in the back of the woods, shot a deer, walked back in, and told his sons to go get it.
my grandmother, she died at 101, and my grandfather was 103 on my mother's side. And up until, well, when my grandmother passed away, now my grandfather ended up in a nursing home when he was about 98. They just couldn't, but she was out. I mean, you know, she would cook breakfast and stuff like that in the mornings and stuff, and then she'd watch TV and stuff. You know, she was just an older lady. You know, she wasn't out, you know, tilling the garden or anything like that, but she was just out and about, you know. I mean, we didn't even know she had gotten sick until, I mean, when she got sick, she went in about 4 weeks, you know, but it was like 4 weeks prior to that, she was just doing her normal stuff that you've seen ever since she was a kid. Although, of course, she used to drink slits in a can with a little pop top that you slid back. Got her out of the, my grandfather had to reach in there and get her out of the lake one time because she done had too many. Couldn't get the balance and went right off out in it.
Take care, Turtle.
Yeah, my grandfather would drink until he died. Every day, he would idle his car all into the bar, drink all day long, and then idle his car home.
There's a lot of people still on here. I think we ended up, the most I seen was 26. That's pretty good for us.
I always feel like as long as there's probably over about 8 or 9 people, then we can just keep on going unless we got something else better to do.
I know.
I don't want to
What?
go finish or go work on that birdhouse, but I ain't in no hurry to go out there. That's something, you know, where we was talking about anything anybody else can do, I can do, or whatever. I'll tell you, some of the projects I take on when somebody orders a birdhouse from me, I don't have the slightest idea that I can actually do it or how I'll do it. Some people get so creative with what they're wanting, like the one I'm working on right now, and they're like, can you do this? Or they'll send me a picture of something and say, can you build this? Just automatically I say, yeah, sure, and tell them what it'll cost them. Then after they pay for it, I'm like, damn, what do I do? How am I going to do this? But it always turns out good. You know, I figure there's got to be a way. With wood, you can do so much with wood, you know, and I feel like anything out there can be recreated with wood as far as in a model sense.
I take, I guess, inspiration or get inspired to do something like that. If I'm not in the mood to create or make something, I'm just wasting my time out there.
Yeah. Campfire and Jimmy, thank you much, man. We appreciate that.
Y'all have a good one. Thanks.
They're not leaving. They're just talking about how good our show is.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's my baldness. They can see a reflection.
We
I was going to wear a hat, but I figured if Mike could do it, I could do it.
There you go.
Yeah, we enjoy these chats a lot too, man. How many people that are still in this chat room right now live in North Carolina, if any?
You chomping ice.
I am. I'm sorry.
My wife would rip your head off right now. You cannot stand anybody chomp on ice, except for Caden. She'll let him.
Thanks, Colonel Ed. I met a guy the other day, or it's somebody who I've been subscribed to for a while, named Wildwood Prepper. And I don't know why he don't have that many subscribers, because he does mostly the same stuff all of us do. So if y'all want to go check him out, go check him out. But anyways, I got a message from Wildwood Prepper the other day, and he said he just lives right up the road from me, he lives in Fayetteville, which is about 45, 50 miles from here. I think it's 44 miles, I think it is, from my house. But anyways, it's pretty cool to have a YouTuber living that close. I know another one of my subscribers lives in North Carolina, about a good hour's drive from here, 1 hour drive. Donnie lives in North.
I got one guy. I got one guy that lives about 2 hours from me.
Oh yeah.
But he invited me on Facebook after he subscribed. I sent him some messages, asked him if he wanted to meet up. He stopped talking to me completely.
I can't imagine what was going through his mind. That's something I'll throw out there too. If I had my driver's license and a way to pay for gas, I'd be coming to visit probably all of y'all. So I do want to throw out there, if any of y'all got some extra time on your hand and gas money and you want to come hang out with me, shoot, let me know, man. We'll go do a camping trip on the South River quick. If I know you and I don't think you're some kind of serial killer or something. But that kind of stuff don't really worry me much for some reason.
I really want to get down there by you guys, but right now the money's so tight. I don't know. I can't justify driving 14 hours to get to Mike's house,
Yeah.
to drive another 7 hours to get to your house, to drive another 19 hours to get home.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, being in that situation, I've been trying to get Mike to come out here forever, and he always says, I'm going to come out there next week, but he never does.
Ain't nobody tell you to go move off and be up here.
Well, Mike could come and visit you and go home for less gas than it would cost me to go down to see Mike. So.
Yeah.
I figured it up last year. I think it was $160 round trip, wasn't it? And gas.
I forget.
Of course, now gas has dropped down a little bit since the last time I planned it. I just don't know if you're worth $160.
Well, thank you.
Whenever I could do it an easier way, I could just send you $100. And you can get a round trip on the bus.
I'm so sick of people buying me bus tickets. I hate riding the bus. Every time somebody wants me to come
Worst
visit,
experience of my life.
every time somebody wants me to come visit them, they send me a bus ticket. I'm like, damn it, I don't want to ride the bus.
I seen something other just came across on Eagle John. Did anybody pan for gold? Has any of y'all ever done it?
I haven't.
Well, the reason I was asking was when we was up there in the Blue Ridge Mountains and stuff, over in Blairsville and all that, we was on a trout stream down through there. And I don't know what gold is. I mean, I know what it is, but I've never panned for it, so I don't know the process. But right below me, everything was just glistening. Just little parts of it. Well, when you pick it up, you could get little fragments, and there were gold fragments. Probably fool's gold, I guess is what they call that.
I think that's what they call fool's gold, yeah.
But, I mean, that's where everybody pans for gold is up there on that place. And I was just wondering, they call it dredging or something?
I think so.
Yeah, down in Georgia, there's a lot of real gold. Wisconsin only has fool's gold, but You guys have real gold down there all over the place.
That's Gayhound.
I don't appreciate that.
That's fool's gold. I was just wondering. I mean, because I'm sitting here thinking, if it wasn't, I won't be at work tomorrow.
He's talking about Blairsville and the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's where I escaped from jail at.
But you get caught.
I got caught, but I got away and I got caught. Because I lost the dogs. I did everything I was supposed to. Lost the dogs that were hunting me and everything. The way I got caught was I was in the woods by this house, and some little kid come through the woods to go to his neighbor's house right there to get some tea, and he saw me, and he went and told them where I was, and then they was able to put the dogs back on me, and I'd already been running for damn near 8 hours, so I was kind of gave out, and I'm running up and down mountains, and so that's how they finally caught me. But if it wasn't for that little kid seeing me, I'd have got away.
Should have RUNFF or RUNOFT.
Say that again?
You should have RUNOFT.
Oh.
But yeah, I have to agree. I absolutely hate the bus. I rode the bus from Seattle to Wisconsin one time, and that was the only bus trip I ever wanted to take in my entire life.
Yeah. I've done roads, several of them. I've been riding buses all my life. When I was in them Christian homes, every time I'd run away and they'd send me to some other state or something, they'd put me on the Greyhound. There I go again. Now that I lost my license and can't drive, whenever my family wants to visit me, they send me a bus ticket. I'll go see them.
Believe it or not, Harrison, Allen's got some bird legs. He can stroll pretty fast.
Harrison, it wasn't so much as outrunning the dogs as it was outsmarting.
Don't say that word.
What?
Outsmart. Because he ain't gonna buy that either.
Yeah, it was outsmarting the dogs more than it was outrunning them. Before they caught me, and I was in the woods by that house, and that kid seen me, and I talked to the kid for just a second, and then he went on in the house. That was way out in the country. I mean, way out in the sticks, and you could hear sound. Sound travels a lot. And when the police got to that lady's house, I heard that the guy tell the lady at the house, said, "Well, we're glad you spotted them. We can put the dogs back on them now." It was like, to me, that was like all she wrote. I just knew I didn't have that much more running in me.
How many of you actually flat out?
Who are you talking to?
Either of you two.
Oh, I've actually never done it, and though I want to, but we just don't have rocks here. And in Georgia, I never thought about wanting to do it.
You know why I made that polo out of wood, right?
Why?
Because you don't have rocks.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing.
Now, because I was going to do it out of rocks. I was going to actually make a quick set and just do 3 and use my Dremel to go ahead and cut my grooves in it to tie the strings around it to hold them in. But I thought, you know what? Not every. And until I talked to you, I didn't know people didn't have rocks. I mean, you was talking about, there ain't no rocks around here. And I'm like, he's lost his mind.
It's kind of
They all
funny.
in his head.
It's kind of funny because this is like the second place I've ever lived that didn't have rocks. And there's lots of rocks in North Carolina. There's just none right here. And when I lived in Florida and went camping in the Ocala National Forest, there wasn't no rocks around there. It was all sand, no rocks.
It means there was rocks at one time.
Yeah. But like when I go camping here in North Carolina to the Uwharrie Mountains, it's all rocks out there. Rocks every daggone where. I loved it when I went to Arizona and I was climbing all them rock mountains. There were so many different colored, pretty rocks. I wanted to just bring them all home. But yeah, I never did the flint knapping
I
thing.
have tons of rocks. Here.
And have you done the flint knapping, Tim?
I flint knapped some. Yeah, I flint knapped some. I don't know. I think I posted some pictures on my Facebook from some arrowheads I made.
Good night,
I'll
John.
see if I still have the picture somewhere, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I like to see them. It's pretty cool.
Rocks for folks too lazy to make bricks. I've done it. It's not one of my best things. I mean, I'm not no professional at it. I used to with Louise, Florida. She had done this spearhead, and it reminded me of my grandfather. He used to sit down and take, and there'd be a bunch of us grandkids out there and stuff, and he had this little area that we would all sit by the creek, and he would sit and tell stories about this, and that, and he would sit down there and just snap out, you know, a spear or an arrowhead. I mean, like it was nothing, you know, just, you know. And I remember he used to, when he'd get done, he'd take every one of them and he'd say, "You remember why why there's so many arrowheads around creeks? You know, all the people looking for them, and you know, we don't like that." And he'd go, "This is why." And he'd go, he just chunked it off in there, you know. I mean, I'm like, you know, at the time as a kid, we wasn't that. I mean, we were impressed, but we were more into the stories and stuff. But as he was throwing out in the creek, you know, like, this is why this one's no good, you know, this one's that. But as we got older, you know, he'd ask him about it and stuff, and he says, "It's nothing, you know." He said, "It's just time." And he says, "When you learn to kill time," he says, "you'll learn that that's the best thing in the world. You know, it's just letting things go." He used to ask me when I'd go see him at the nursing home. He'd be sitting there, he's like, "What time is it?" And I'd say, "It's like 11:15. It's on your watch." And he'd go, "I can't raise my arm up." So I'd lift his arm up, and I'd show it to him, and he'd go, "Yep, it's 11:15. I'd let go of his arm and it dropped back down. Well, one day I was sitting in there and I asked him some questions and stuff, and he goes, "Well, what time is it?" And he said, I told him it's like, or he asked me, he said, "What time is it?" I said, "Well, I don't know, what time is it?" And he goes, "About 11:15, you know, or whatever time it was." But the point behind it was, for all these times that I've been in there, he wasn't paralyzed in his arm, and but he made him think that he was, but he said my grandmother, he said there's no way she could take care of him, and he knew he was better off there, and she would be better off without it. I just thought it was pretty cool, you know, being 20, 21 years old, you know, him just raise his arm up like it was nothing, but yet he's supposed to be, you know, he had a stroke, he's supposed to be completely paralyzed.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah,
We have a good bit of flint
hey,
around
Alan, if
here.
you wanted to try flint knapping, the bottom bottle works really good since you don't have any rocks.
You know, I've never tried that. Well, actually, I picked one up and just played with it for a few seconds. I saw Dave Canterbury do that on Dual Survival, and I picked one up, and I just lost interest because it didn't look as easy when I was holding one in my hand as it did when Dave was doing it on TV. But, yeah, I might try that, get a bottom of a bottle.
It takes a lot of practice.
Huh? You said what?
It takes a lot of practice. It's not as easy as it would look on TV.
Yeah.
Well, with someone that does it, I mean, my grandfather, within 20 minutes, he'd have a spearhead. I mean, it was just, I mean, so quick with it. If I sat down and do an arrowhead, I probably broke 5 of them before I get one of them made. You know, because you press too much on one end or crack over here. I mean, it would not be, if I was in a quick survival situation, I'm not going to be trying to sit down and flint knap for an arrowhead, you know, because my skill is not that great at it. You know, I have the basic knowledge, I can get it, but like I said, I'm gonna start with 6 and end up with 1. But he would just be able to sit down there and just. And my Uncle Johnny's the same way. He still can do it to this day. I've tried to get him to let me put him on video, and he goes, "Why? Why do I want anybody to watch me? Ain't nobody watch me when I was young." You're missing the point. This is stuff that needs to be passed on. And he goes, "Shame on their parents." And then, I won't say, but he's very disappointed with his oldest son. You ever seen How to Make an Arrow Rest out of game?
Have I ever seen it? No.
Seen it one day, and that thing makes a good arrow rest. See how it flips?
Yeah.
Raises up. You pull back, it pulls down. It's just a piece of cane. You just bend it.
That's another point or something to say on the primitive survival tools and stuff like we were showing. Something for those who don't know, if you're in a survival situation, you don't have to make a perfect bow to go kill something. I've seen my friend Brandon out at Harmony Hall. He just cut a limb down and tied a string on it and cut a stick down for an arrow, and it was shooting straight in a target just like it wasn't nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, you don't have to cut a stick down and shave it and make it pretty and all that good stuff. If you're just trying to get a quick meal for the night, just cut you a good strong limb down that'll give a little bit for you to pull back, make a spring out of it, and it'll work. I mean, we were standing like probably at least 15 yards away from the target, and he was hitting the target and it was going in it with just a sharpened stick every time.
Hardening that stick, fire hardening the tip of it, it's amazing. I'll tell you something else that works good for that. You just got you a little old pencil sharpener. Harden it.
Yeah.
Okay, harden it. You twist around that thing, it'll make that thing just a straight point.
Yeah.
So what does crow taste like?
I've never ate it. Not bird crow I had never ate.
Eagle John has a video about a flip-flop. Suspended. Anybody else? I'm sure a lot of the other viewers here. Have you seen it yet?
Who has that video?
Eagle John.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
I watched 2 of them on it so far. I'm waiting on him to give me the secret.
What is a flip-flop?
He's just got a flip-flop that's suspended in air by itself.
Huh.
And then he does a patch. Does some other stuff. It's just a sacred spot, I guess.
Yeah. I'll give a shout out too to David West and I don't think he knows me from a hole in the ground, but I've watched a few of his videos, and if you're into finding different ways to make fire, that's basically all this guy does is fire stuff, and he's always coming up, and his are a little bit more modern and a little bushcraft too, but he tries all kinds of stuff on fire techniques, stuff that you don't see normally around YouTube, like waddling up a ball of yucca or yucca, however you want to say it, and put it in between 2 boards and rubbing the boards back and forth together, and then it creates an ember on that yucca piece that he put in there. But if you want to learn different ways to make fires, go look at his channel, man. He's full of fire starting techniques. And there's stuff that you don't never see. It's not the stuff you see all the time, like a bow drill or a hand drill.
I seen a video just the other day talking about how, to make the hearth board and, everything like that. And native survivals have done it. And I think for someone that's never done one of them, that's a good video to watch because it'll give you that. We see it done, and if somebody new that's never actually done it, there's a little bit of a technique to it, and there's a little bit of placement that needs to go on. You don't just grab a board and slap the spindle right in the center of it and go to town because you're just gonna drill a hole eventually. But he does a good little. It's a short one too. That's like maybe 5 minutes.
Mitch is great at teaching.
Huh? Yeah, Mitch is good at it. I still say his star camping or star shelter's the best one yet.
It was hilarious.
I knew as soon as I seen the video pop up, I knew exactly what he was talking about. But I had to see it just to make sure.
Same here. I was like, he's just going to lay that bed mat down and go to sleep.
There's still a lot of good reading. Hold steady, boys. I'll be back.
Y'all, I ordered me another webcam so I can get rid of this old crappy one I got.
Yeah, next time you guys have me on the show, hopefully I'll have my laptop set up and it'll work better for me.
Yeah.
Because you guys are so breaky and so bad, I can hardly understand what you're saying most of the time.
Oh. We've been looking at houses and houses for those of y'all who's been following me on my house foreclosure thing. And we got approved for that money, like I said, I think on one or two shows back. But let me tell you something, hunting for houses under a USDA loan, it's a lot more complicated than what we thought it would be. It's like every house we find, they're telling us, no, we can't have it, because of some kind of USDA restrictions. And some of the most common restrictions that I can remember, for one, we can't get a manufactured home if it's already been lived in on a USDA loan. For two, here in North Carolina, a lot of houses are down a dirt road, and they name the dirt road, and it'll be just like a driveway. It'll be like a really long driveway, and they'll name it something lane, like Fox Terrace Lane, Fox Trace Lane, or whatever. But the USDA will see that as a road because it's named lane, and they'll say if that road is not maintained by county or state, then we can't live there. And the one house we was looking at where they just built the garage on it and they was doing the wiring and then quit. And all the wiring's there, it just needs the outlets put in and stuff. They're saying we can't have that because of the electrical problems. The house can't have no electrical problems. So it's amazing, man. I was thinking the whole time we was going through all this, golly, if we just get the loan, we can go get our dream home somewhere. Now we got the loan and still can't get a house. But we're still looking, though.
That sucks. Hate to hear that. That's another reason why I haven't came down there yet. Kind of because if I am going to drive that far, I'll probably do a loop between you and Mike.
Yeah.
And I want you in a stable situation so that I don't end up going down there and you not being there when I get there.
Yeah. Right now, we're still looking at, even after we find a house, then it's still going to be 30 days or more till we get to move in it because of the closing and all the stuff that's got to be done. It's got to be inspected by a licensed inspector by USDA. It don't have to be an inspector from USDA, but it has to be a licensed inspector. So I just wish it would hurry up. This was my dream home at one time, but since they've been foreclosing on us, I've just been ready to move because it's like a unstable situation, I can't even plant a garden because I don't know if we're going to be here long enough to enjoy the fruit. And I've had a garden every year except this year.
How about everything? I'm wondering if that rain we got a hit with a heavy storm. My corn was still standing after the It stood or fell over a few weeks back, but it's all good. But I've done picked probably 2 bushels of squash.
Mr. Old Clunker, our current payments are 21 payments behind. And the situation is this house is in my mother-in-law's name. My mother-in-law passed away, and they wouldn't let us put it in our name. And we fell behind because of our own financial problems. And then it just kept falling behind and behind and behind. And then it ended up, they started tacking on more fees and more fees and more fees. And now they got this house priced at what we owe them is more than what the house was originally purchased for. Yeah, I do miss a garden, Ed. I miss it bad. I thought about planting one anyways, but there's so much work in planting a garden. And if I plant a garden and have to move before it grows fruit, I'd be madder than ever. Good night, Eagle John.
Good night, Eagle John. I got a delay there for a second.
I hear that, Stuzo. That's happened to us a few times too. As soon as we find a house we like, somebody else grabs it. There's a couple of them like that. And I think too, a lot of the houses we're looking at, we're finding really cheap houses that we'd like to have that don't require a whole bunch of fix up. But then I think some investor buys it. Like that one house I mentioned before, that blue house that was in the middle of some WMA property. That house was on the market forever, and then all of a sudden somebody put a bid in and bought it, and then it was like a few months later it was back up for sale again. They went in there and remodeled it or fixed all the bad things and resell it for twice as what it was going for.
Yeah, house flipping is a real big market these days.
When you pack up your backpacks to head out, how many of you carry candy?
I don't actually carry candy. There has been times I'll put mints in because they say mints give you energy or something. I forget what it was. But I'll put the mints in sometimes, and other than that, I guess as far as candy goes, the only thing I carry closest to candy is maybe some granola bars, if I have any.
I usually have a few pieces that I keep in my bag, but that's generally my EDC anyway.
Well, I carry a Ziploc bag full. Huh.
I can't never keep candy. I eat it. Like Smarties is my favorite candy, and when we go to the dollar store, I'll buy 2 or 3 bags of Smarties, so I have something to snack on while I'm out there building birdhouses. Shoot, I'll eat all those up in one night.
I generally bought these little canisters, and they were at Walmart. They're like cookie jar canisters or something. They're like food storage, about that tall. You know, 5 or 6 inches, about 5 or 6 inches, something like that. Maybe a foot and a half tall with a screw-on lid.
Uh-huh.
And I cram that thing just full of snacks, like beef jerky, candy, things that'll last for a while. And sometimes I'll just throw that thing in there. My wife's got one in the back of her car now, and she just, I mean, it's just in case she breaks down or something. It's just got that little bit of, you know, pick me up, or, you know, candy is a comfort food. It's one of the reasons that I like to carry it. I mean, you know, if you're stressed out or whatever, you can just chew on some candy. Just don't carry the candy you love the most, because you'll eat it all up in one sitting now. But I mean,
I'm not a big candy guy myself. I never have been. But I do have a big bag of jerky that I carry with me pretty much everywhere as I go.
That's another thing I can't save is jerky. I eat it.
Sardines. Mike, DeLucia, they were talking about sardines the other night. I was watching one of their shows that they had on there. I don't remember the name. I don't remember which one it was. He's on 2 or 3 of them. But the sardine stuff, good in protein and stuff like that. And this young man that started to work, he he'd gotten himself into some trouble and straightened himself out, done good, paid his time, I guess is what you would say. And we're training him to be our produce manager. I've been working with him, teaching him what, that I know with it. And he's talking about sardines. And he said, being on a workout, I mean, he's a pretty good sized boy. I mean, he's no chump, he's muscled up pretty good. But one of the things that he said with sardines was that's one of the best things that you can carry for protein and the oils that are inside of it as well. He said those are good for omegas, something other. I forgot what he called it. Made me want to sit down. I went and popped open a can of sardines in there. I ate all of them, and that same night, Mike and them was talking about it. And I never did comment or anything in there, but I just thought, man, wish I had another can right now.
I love making my own jerky. I used to always make it in the oven, and then I got that dehydrator, and it works good too. But, I can make jerky faster in the oven than I can in my dehydrator, and it'll be just as good, if not better.
You can do it with a fan too. Of course, I've done said that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You can hang it out in the sun.
Yep.
And you'll jerk it too.
Tell you what I would like to do, is I guess, you see these tagging videos and stuff like that. But I would like to sit down and come up with something to have, tag your friend or whatever, making jerky in the sun or drying out a vegetable or drying out some fruits in the sun, things of that nature. But, different little things, but try to do a tag every week, and just see, because that's the key to it is when you get tagged, 90% of the people do it.
Yeah.
But it teaches you, or you go and take the effort to look it up and learn it. And to me, that's what this whole thing is about, is learning as much as I can and seeing as much as I can. Because I don't think we can ever quit learning with it. I mean, it's like, I don't like jerky. I don't have no need for it. You know what? 5 years from now, things are a little bit different. You might have the need to know how to make jerky, or any of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm studying my wild edibles, which I should have learned them a long, long time ago.
Yep, you're doing a great series there, Al. I'm really impressed with it.
Thank you. If y'all saw that last video I did of that wild lettuce, that
I have
thing,
not, because it was 33 minutes, and I said I'll watch it tomorrow.
Well, the one I'm standing by, that thing is like, when I was standing by it, it was about 8 or 9 feet tall. Now it's 10 feet tall for sure, and it grows fast. And we got a lot of them all around here, so I'm gonna start eating a lot of that.
But now, just curious, because with tame lettuce, once it seeds, you don't eat it. You'll poop your butthole out.
Well, these are not seeding yet, but they're getting the flower buds on them.
Yeah.
But I guess I learned something from my last video, because I always thought that wild lettuce and wild bitter lettuce was 2 different lettuces. But so far, from a little bit of research I was doing, it was saying that wild lettuce is wild bitter lettuce. But there's a whole bunch of different species of wild lettuce. So I guess this one that I have is considered the wild bitter lettuce. And it is sure enough bitter, but it almost has a pretty good taste. I mean, it's nasty. It's got a real bitter, but you can almost like the bitterness of it. It's that kind. I was showing on the video, I said this would probably be a lot better with ranch dressing or something.
Ranch dressing.
Yeah.
Prelude Prepper says, start the tagging off, Mike. Sounds like a great idea. I think I might do that tomorrow, or do you want to do it for the show?
I don't know. Do it however you want to do it. Whatever you tag somebody, you're going to have to do it too.
I know how to get Alan Hobbs to quit sleeping till 4 a.m.
It ain't till 4 a.m. I don't
4
even.
p.m.
Yeah, 4 p.m. I don't normally go to bed until after daylight.
To me, I mean, my wife, it drives her up the wall on this subject here about sleep. 5 hours, and I am a Cadillac with a 10-minute power nap about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You give me 8 hours of sleep, you might as well just go ahead and put me down because I am worthless. I cannot sleep more than 5 or 6 hours in a day. It just, I don't know why. I've always been that way. Well, as long as I can remember back, but it drives her up the wall. She's a 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That's her bedtime. She goes to bed at 9 o'clock. She's out like a bulb at 9:15. Come 6 o'clock, she's up, spring chicken running out the door like she's all this and that. You know, I lay down at 9 o'clock. I better be getting back up by 2:30 or 3, or I'm in trouble.
Prelude, the third guy is Tim from, I don't know how to pronounce his channel, Ramsey
Silent.
Ramsey
Silent.
He got that Chinese name.
We're going to change your channel name to something else. Something more pronounceable, like maybe Blood Axe.
Yeah, I know, Harrison. I know all
Actually, I have been considering changing my channel name.
Alan has a sleep schedule of like an unborn baby.
You know, it's something too, though. I've been what they call a night owl all my life, pretty much. I mean, most jobs when I worked at restaurants or whatever, anything that was open for 24 hours, I was working third shift. When I worked at Walmart stocking, I was third shift. When I worked at Walmart distribution center, third shift everything. So I kind of got, I don't know, I just enjoy doing things at nighttime better than I like building the birdhouses, you know. For some reason, it feels better to do that at night than it does in the day. Now, the main reason I started doing it like this is because my shop is so hot. I don't have no controlled heat and air. And in the middle of the daytime, that thing is like freaking an oven all the way. So I usually wait till about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night or later and go out there. And it'll be bearable for the heat.
Did you read that, Tim? Make a comment so he can sub you.
I've always worked at night myself. I'm an 11 to 7 kind of guy.
I don't know. He's.
And yes, I've been thinking about changing my channel name.
What are you going to change it to?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't quite made up my mind. But I want to start actually releasing decent videos. And once that happens, then my channel name will change. My channel was started simply for a contest. I'm not going to lie. That I should have won. What?
I said, I know what contest.
Right? I should have won it because I was the only one that followed the rules. And I didn't. So I got kind of upset with the whole video making process. And kind of stepped back from it for quite a while. And now I'm seriously considering getting back into it. I got a decent camera finally. So I'm hoping to start shooting some good videos here.
Prelude said, "Are you just watching for the cops at night?"
Mm-hmm. You can't lie to us. We know you, Alan. But I think, I mean, the idea about maybe tagging about something, but trying to do it maybe once a week, you know, doing one of them. And it's just so people can get that opportunity, whether it's something that they do every day or something that they don't. But, you know, we've done so many fire and so much stuff like that. I was wanting to kind of stay away from that, you know, maybe, you know, with like what we did today, you know, some type of primitive weapon, you know, show how you make it and stuff like that. Because I learn a lot from watching those tags, because everybody does something a little bit different. And some, you know, may do like I do, like, well, that's already been done that way. I'm going to come up with something different, but under the same concept.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like I don't hardly ever do any bushcraft right here in my own yard. Not that you shouldn't. I mean, that's a great idea to bushcraft in your own yard. But when you brought this on to me about doing the spear, I put it off all week long until today. It's kind of like something I was dreading to do. But then when I sit down and did it, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Fun.
Well, you're not pressured. Well, you might have been waiting till the last day,
I'm a
but
big believer. I'm a
go
big
ahead.
believer in backyard bushcrafting. I think it's a great way to get people involved that never even think about it. You
Yeah,
know, it all comes down to time management, like I said before. But if you start a fire in your barbecue grill using wood instead of charcoal, and you use any kind of primitive method, it automatically gets people's attention. And
yeah,
then you have to cook dinner for them because you're having a barbecue. So that automatically gets your wife involved if she's the one that generally cooks for you. And all your family is interested because you're doing something that they've never seen before. Even if they absolutely hate the woods, they're in the backyard. They're not in the woods. They don't have to deal with the bugs and the ticks and all that stuff. They're enjoying themselves, and before you know it, you're going to talk them into going camping and doing stuff with you.
My idea of a camping is just going. I mean, I don't need, when I took Caden and Bryson, my nephew, and then my son, we went over to Adinota. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it just being outside, but Caden surprised me when we got ready to leave. You know, I'd rather have went to Taylor's Ridge, Dad. Here it is. I drove 4 hours to a place that I thought he would enjoy better. We come to find out he wants to get out in the woods and find that wood. He wants to drag that wood up there. He wants to make that shelter. He wants to do those things, that you can't do at a campground. And I said to myself, I said, I won't do any more campgrounds. But he surprised me. He came into the store today with my mother-in-law, and he had a little shopping bag, the little hand cart thing that you just walk around with,
yeah.
basket. And he had like 10 of those little goldfish. We had them 10 for $1, 10 for 10 on our sale. And he was walking and he had those in, and then he had some peanuts in it. Then he come around through there and he spotted me and he said, "Hey, Dad." He said, "I'm shopping." I said, "You are?" And he said, "Yeah." By the time he came back through there about 3 more times, where I was working at over there showing Tim how to work on his produce, he come back over and he said, "I got you some peaches, I got you some peanuts, I got Mom this, and I got Mom that." And I was like, "Boy," I said, "you got about $80 worth of stuff in that thing." And he goes, "No, I don't." He said, "Everything that I got was around $1." He said, "I got $20. And I said, "Where'd you get $20? He said, "My nanny." I'm like Parker Ridge. I'll be making a video, and many a times, if you'll watch my shirts or my area, I have to go back and redo something, and I'll have a different shirt on the next day. Just pay attention to my videos. You'll see it like step. I've made it. But I forgot to film it. I'm like, oh, great. Then you run back out there, and I agree with Trevor Fillmore. He said it, sometimes I think even I've done it. I get tangled up in trying to make a better quality video, and then most of the time it's just what people want to see. They see it and they understand you're going to make mistakes. Most of them do. And those that don't understand that, mistakes are going to be made, so maybe they're more of a perfectionist than I am.
I always film it all. Always film it all. Just whatever happens, that goes on the film.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in your videos is that little sucky thing.
I should have edited that out.
If anybody wants to know what video that is and exactly what second and minute it is, you just send me a PM and I'll send you the link to it.
I'm gonna go delete it.
No, you won't, because this is where we got the most views right now.
I'm lucky that way. When I started shooting videos, I had a flip phone that could only record for 30 seconds at a time. So that first 14 minutes of video I had was like 300 clips I had to edit together. So nowadays with these smartphones, I'm all like, holy crap, look how good a videos I'm making.
I agree with Fuzz as far as survival is making preparations in advance. I mean, you know, if you didn't prepare yourself for a situation or whatever, it's hard to survive it.
Yep. You know, I have a lot of fun just putting together kits. You know, I'll get together, and I don't hardly really keep any packed up. I try to keep one bag packed up in case I have to run. But like right now, I need to do a kit for my scooter. I was wanting to do. That's going to be fun. Just putting it together. I enjoy it. You know, I think I'm going to take that messenger bag I bought and let that be my scooter bag.
Scooter bag.
Which, I mean, it's highly unlikely I'll ever get stranded or something on my scooter, but you never know.
It's highly unlikely you'll get run off the road too, but it happens, don't it?
Yeah. But it'll be fun anyways, just to put the kit together.
I'm gonna make me a back scratcher.
Do what, y'all?
I've got 3 different kits in my car, one for medical, one for tools, and one for food and random camping stuff. And then I have my SOG Ninja, which I carry everywhere as I go. It's my EDC. It's as good as a pocket EDC because if I go downstairs, I'm carrying this with me. If I go upstairs, I carry it with me. I go outside, I take it with me. It's always within arm reach somewhere of me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's right, Sal. And you need to make saddlebags. Make you some out of wood.
Saddlebags out of wood.
Yeah, for your little scooter.
I would like to have some. I even thought about getting saddlebags for my scooter. My brother cracks up laughing because I'm pimping my scooter out. You know, I like skulls, and I'm decorating my scooter with skulls the best I can, and I put some skull mirrors on there and show my brother a picture, and he's just cracking up laughing. I said, what the heck are you laughing at? He says, you're the only person in the world that'll pimp out their scooter.
Actually, he's got his channel. It's changed over to Freedom Bushcraft now, but you can still type in Alan Hobbs, and it'll take you right straight to Freedom.
Yes, go to Freedom Bushcraft, that's me, and then if you're wanting to see my woodwork, I started another channel for my woodwork, and it's called Alan's Woodwork and Art. I haven't been posting a whole lot on there, but I will soon. Kind of wanting to wait till we move so I can get a bigger shop, because when I do my woodworking videos, I try to use my handy cam because I can plug it up and don't have to worry about the battery going dead. But that handy cam, the zoom is so far in as soon as you turn it on, and you can't back it out. And my shop is so small, you know, I can't do any real good filming with it. So I was kind of waiting until we move and I get a bigger shop, then I can set up the handycam wherever I want to, and it'll get in what I want it to get in. But with my shop the way it is now, it's like everything's too zoomed in, and I can't get the camera to zoom out any more than that. But the little camera I have, the one that takes batteries, you know, it ain't zoomed in like that. This little power shot right here. I got to go use bathroom.
Yeah, my power shot's out in my car right now with my tripod. I took it when I went fishing. Not that I had anything to film.
I've got about 6 cameras from Sony to, they're all behind my curtain thing there. But the one that I like the best for picture quality is a little JVC, and it shoots full 1080. The only problem that I don't like with it is the only editing you can do is through JVC software program, and it sucks. You can't even put it onto YouTube and re-edit it. It won't let you.
My Canon is like a step or two up from Alan's, but his is basically just an older version of mine. I wanted to get the camcorder, but then I'll have to wait for a little bit.
Jimmy Fish, what kind of ferro rods do you, I mean, I say that you make them and stuff, but what kind of ferro rods do you buy? Is it, I mean, because when you go like on eBay or something like that to get like the long ones and stuff, you never know what you're going to get. Is there a good company? Other if you got one, send it over or let me know, because I've got some good wood and stuff that I've been wanting to make some of them out of. Actually, got rocks in my head. Sent me some yew wood about a year ago, and that stuff works good. Yeah, that's what that JVC Vario HD. It was on sale at Walmart during Black Friday for $100, I think. But it shoots some of the best video, but you just can't edit it. Of course, then again, that could just be my ignorance too. I am a little computer with it.
We've had that Sony Handycam forever now. When we bought it, it was is that the same one you had, Mike, that me and you was talking about?
I got one like that.
When we bought it, it was like $564. I don't remember how many years ago, quite a few. And it does good, but it's got its good points. This other camera, the one I mainly use, this one I use all the time when I'm camping. I only bring the Handycam for a backup. But like if there's deer in the backfield back here, this little camera, it'll zoom in, but it won't zoom in enough to where you can see the deer real good. But I can take that Sony Handycam, shoot, I can zoom in to where you can count the hairs on the deer. All the way back there.
It's got a 250 times zoom on it. Yeah. And I did a video when I first got it. I was about 700-800 yards away across the lake, and I zoomed in to the people over there, and you could see the smile on their face. Yes, Fuzz T-Forks.
It's pretty crazy. I saw that video.
We do the chats. One week it's on my channel, which is Crash Bushcraft. Next week it'll be on Freedom Bushcraft. We alternate from one to the next.
Yeah. So next week it will be on mine. This week is Mike's.
My video or my camera on that Samsung, I get about an hour and 15 minutes off of one charge on it, a continuous run.
Now that's something I got to give that Sony Handycam credit for, is that battery. We've had that for so many years and done used it like crazy, especially when I was ghost hunting. When I was ghost hunting, we'd be in a cemetery or wherever we're at for, say, more than 4 hours, and that thing would be running all the time. So after all that, all these years, it's still got a good, I think every time I crank it up after a full charge, it says like 95 minutes.
On Parker Ridge, this little old thing right here, I can plug it into my battery from my charging port. I don't know if yours is that way or not, but I can get about 3 hours off of this one battery right here. It's just a little old Brunton thing of like $49 at Walmart, and it's solar powered as well. It takes forever to charge up solar, but I mean it's a good little old handy thing. But you can just take it and plug it straight from there. Plug it. It's got 3 ports. And even if you don't, if you've got a USB on the other one, you can plug it in there, stick it in there, and I just set it out in the front where the sun's facing that too, and it does good. And then I've got that little missile torpedo. That thing's the bomb. I mean, it's good. I would say yes, it would make a difference. Do what?
I went and bought 5 batteries that are about twice as long as the original battery that came with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got like 9 hours worth of camcorder shooting now.
I want to get some new memory cards.
eBay, Alan. I picked up a 64 megabyte memory card for $10.
64 gigabyte?
Yep.
That'd be nice. That'd be the only one I need. When I go camping on most of my trips, if they're a normal 3-day, sometimes 4-day trip, I go through 2 8 gigabytes and 1 4 gigabyte and 1 2 gigabyte, I think, and then that's it.
Yeah, just watch eBay. You can get them for like $10-15 for 64 megabyte HD, the full works.
I don't know, Mike, is that on what Jimmy's talking about? It should on the memory, but he don't know about the battery.
I don't know. I would think that it might, because I mean it's having to process, to get the quality of it. But I mean, I'm no tech by no means. I know shutting mine on and off takes more battery life than just leaving it on and letting it go into sleep and then touching the button back on. My next camera, I'm looking to buy one, but I think I'm going to go with one of those big Sony cameras with a big lens thing on the end of it that's got a remote control. They're about $1,300-1,400, but it won't be this year.
I don't know if I'd ever be able to afford one like that, but that's something I've been having on my mind lately, is getting one with a remote control, even a cheap one if I can get a cheap one with a remote. Because like if I'm deer hunting and want to show me shooting a deer, I don't want to try to have to turn my camera on while the deer's standing there watching me.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to just press that remote and turn the camera on.
Oh, sorry, I got the memory. I got a 32. I got about 6 of them.
Gigabytes?
Mm-hmm. I think that's what that is. Yeah. 32 SDHC card.
Yeah. Huh.
I had never filled it up, but I know this.
That's a lot. You know what? You said, I know this. You know what?
Oh, I got to clear out my computer.
Well,
I'll buy you a bus ticket if you'll come down here and do that for me. I still say, you're just as sorry as I am. You got a scooter now.
A scooter that I'm not allowed to drive on the highway?
You can drive on the highway, you just can't drive on the interstate. And these back roads.
I would love to take the scooter all the way out there, but I don't.
Your luck is you get about 200 miles out and the stupid thing break down on you, and then I have to get you a bus ticket.
Yeah.
For you and the scooter beside you. I'm gonna buy me one of them scooters. I'll ride that thing. I'll meet you halfway. We'll be like Dumb and Dumber if one of them breaks down.
I like it a lot. I wish I had my license. I mean, I've never had a motorcycle before or nothing like that. But riding this scooter, I'm thinking, man, it'd probably be pretty cool to have a motorcycle, to go that fast enough. Because I'll get this one going 50 miles an hour, which is the max on the speedometer. And it's just fun. I'm like, man, this is awesome. But it kind of sucks only going 30 miles an hour, and that scooter won't hardly get up to 50 unless I'm either on a very flat level road or a little downhill. Other than that, you're basically stuck at about 35 and 40, no matter where you're going.
I think on my next video, I'm gonna make an at level.
A what?
An at level.
Oh. I thought about making one of them too, just to try. I'll tell you something I'd like to see videos of, and something I want to make videos of is, a lot of people are real itchy about killing animals on YouTube, but there are some out there that do it, and I like watching those videos that do it, not because I'm some animal hater or nothing, but because I just like to see how people do stuff. But I'd like to see some more primitive animal hunting and kills. Because it's one thing to go out here and throw a spear at a target or go out here and shoot my survival slingshot at a target. That's one thing, but going out there and shooting an animal with it, to me, is 100 times better. And like I said, don't get me wrong, any of you animal lovers out there, I'm not no kind of animal hater. I love animals. But anything I kill, I'll eat it. So
Good to see you, Jimmy. Thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you again on another video, or we'll catch you next Monday night.
Yeah, take care, Jimmy.
You got training wheels on your scooter?
Did somebody ask that, or is that coming from you?
No, that's Buzz Fork.
Oh.
Actually, we took his training wheels off and went with a Fat Man tire.
It should have training wheels on it because I done wrecked it once.
Actually, he sent me a picture. Look, man, big old gash out of his elbow. I said, what happened? He said, they jinxed me, man. Everybody in my family. Anyway, it was the second day, wasn't it?
Yeah, second day I wrecked it. One of the most embarrassing moments in my
Alan,
life.
the only problem with doing videos, on YouTube, killing the animals primitively, is that it's against the law in most states. So you're just begging to get arrested or fined.
Yeah, that's one thing, but there's other animals you can kill that are like possum. I mean, is it against the law to kill a possum primitive?
I think so, because you've got certain, because each...
Yeah, it's all animal rights stuff.
Oh.
Well, each state has a minimum weapon, but where you can get away with primitive is, Neil talked about this whenever he was on here, there's certain poundage, but now, like, it's illegal to hunt with an atlatl here in Georgia, but Alabama, they allow it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'd have to check with your regulation and stuff, like certain, 177 caliber, is the smallest, on some small games. You have to have that. If it's a bow, then it has to be a certain amount of weight. You just have to check with your state regulations on each one of them.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to do here every cotton picking year. Something new changes. That's like with my AR. I had it for years and wasn't allowed to use it. Well, now all of a sudden they changed it over to where you could.
Yeah.
And it used to be you had to have a 5-round clip. It's hard to find a 5-round clip for an AR, that's around there. Now, you can slap on 15 500-round clips. They don't care. There's no minimum or no maximum clip, as far as how many bullets you have.
Well, like my survival slingshot, it'd be legal to kill a deer with that if you put the 45-pound band on it.
Right.
All right, Sam. Ramsey Silent. There, I said it. But I won't remember it the next time I have to say it. I'll say that guy with that Chinese name.
Actually, I was surprised. Neil said, "Man, I've been watching y'all butcher that poor boy's name for 3 months." I get 26
It's okay if you
miles.
kill my name, Alan.
You know what I say? Tim. And then I've got in my search bar in there if I'm trying to find his channel or something other, see if he's popped anything new in.
Yeah.
I just type in RAM and it pops up.
I look at it and try to read it. I just can't hardly never read it. It's like the way I read it, it's like it says Ramses Silent. Ramses Silent. That's close enough.
Ramsey Silent. Ramsey Silent. He's rolling his eyes. Good God, I can't even breathe
It's
it.
the first name and the last name.
Ramsey.
Ramses Silent.
Silent Ramses.
There you go. There you go. It's backwards. You did it perfect.
That's what I'm going to start doing. That's your new channel. Caden's new channel, it's under Caden Ware. He just wanted one of them. He wants to make videos for gaming and stuff, and he's actually pretty good at all of his games he does. He's good at playing them, but he gets into real details and stuff, and he's got about 12 videos that he's made, but he's got like a 16 megabyte or 16 gigabyte card, and the thing of that little JVC that I gave him for his birthday, and he'll sit there with that thing going until it goes dead. I was like, son, we can't upload no 2-hour movie. He goes, why? I watch them all the time. And I was like, we can't.
Take care, Ed. We'll see you.
Be good, Dad.
See you, Homer.
That's another thing with my memory being the bad memory it is. Man, it's so hard for me to remember a YouTube person's real name.
I have a hard time with it too, because I'm subscribed to probably 400 people, and if they make a video every week and I get a chance to see it, I can keep up with it. But if they do one about once every 6-7 months,
Yeah.
I'll be jostling names together, and they'll be like, and I feel bad about it too, you know. 'Cause I try to watch as many videos as I can, and I respond back. So I've been waiting about a day and a half to 2 days to respond back on a lot of the comments and stuff. And the only reason I do that is so I can sit down and go over them all instead of trying to do 1 or 2, because I found that I'm missing them. You know, because I'll get 50 or 60 views at once, you know, and then all of a sudden all the comments come down, you know, and then if I start, you know, putting them in, all of a sudden I miss one because it doesn't come up. So I'll just kind of wait until it slows down and then come back and respond back.
Yeah.
Parker gone too? No?
Yep. Yeah, he's gone.
Is he?
Yeah.
We're dropping like flies, boys.
Nobody watches my channel. That's a problem.
What did you say, Tim?
Did he drop?
I don't know.
He's still smoking a cigarette on YouTube. There he is. You back? Hey, Tim.
It looks like he's got that little imaginary guy up in the sky there. He keeps looking at.
That's his camera.
I know it. Without knowing it, though, and he keeps looking up.
I'm sitting over here with Mike because I had Caden's chair set over there. He wanted it in there, and I moved everything around in here to get him where he could get in there. He just amazes me. It's hard.
Caden?
Sometimes with, you're trying to do one thing over here and get this, and then, he's still 6,
Yeah.
So, like, whenever you first popped up, he was going, I thought, what is that? And he goes, peace. And I was like, okay, I don't get it, but. Are you still with us, Alan?
You guys are breaking up so bad I can't hardly understand what you're saying most of the time.
Did you just call him Alan?
Yeah, I did. I didn't think you caught that. But I'm fixing to have to get off here in a few minutes anyway, because I got to get up tomorrow and get some work done.
That's a very good point there, Fuzz.
Well, I can go whenever you guys are ready.
I agree with keeping up with the important papers and pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
That's something other that I've noticed in the last 15 or 20 years, and real bad in the last 5 or 6. We take for granted computers and viewing with memory cards. There's very few pictures that we take and run to Walmart or wherever to get them put on paper. And if things drop down, and even, whenever they get older, I keep them all on a separate hard drive, like pictures and stuff, but I go every once in a while to Walmart and just pick out about 20 or 30 different pictures, of the family or Caden or something other, because we had a house fire whenever I was younger, and it burned every pictures that we had up, and the only pictures that I have of me as a child and stuff is either through friends or some relatives or something other. Occasionally they'll pass them along and give them to me as they get older.
Yeah.
But it's cool having these computers and everything like that, making our videos and things. But it's hard to replace paper. I mean, paper is tangible. It's something you can carry with you and keep for a long time.
Take it easy, Prelude.
Where are you going, Harrison?
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to ask.
Yeah, we had a house fire when I was 18, so there's pretty much no pictures of me when I was young either.
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing that there's not very many pictures of me when I was young out there.
That's right.
Because believe it or not, I had hair down the middle of my back. I actually had hair. And it was, when I was a teenager, I thought some of these cool bands were just the coolest thing there was. So I bleached my hair with peroxide, and I think that's what killed it.
You read that Wild Edible book. Find out the plants to give you hair back.
I'm going to be honest with you. If they was really a way of getting hair back, the government would never process it. They wouldn't allow you to know it.
Yeah. You're one of them government conspiracy fellas.
I'm not. I just understand it. If I want to keep you down, what's the best way to do it? Make you think there's something wrong. It's like
Harrison, I think he was asking, which is what I was going to ask, where are you going to be for 2 weeks? You said that's the last time you can be on here for 2 weeks.
You didn't get grounded, did you?
Yeah, Stu's, that's a good point too. And we'd actually talked about that on one of these shows.
About 3 back.
Yeah. I know that's a good point because when I used to go to jail a lot, I always wished I had written down all my numbers.
But the sad thing is, up until cell phones came out, in our heads, you could name off 30 friends in France and know their numbers.
Yeah.
As soon as the cell phone came out, you lucky if you can remember your own phone number to write down on an application or something.
That's the truth too.
I always have to look mine up.
Remember mine.
I have all my important friends listed in my organizer that I keep on paper, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know any of their numbers. I would have to look in the organizer.
I'm gonna be.
I already store so much useless information that I don't feel a need to keep the numbers in my head anymore.
Did you read Did you read it, Mike, where Harrison's going?
Yeah, he's going on summer camp for the scout. Which camp are you going to? We have a Camp Hamby over here, just right down the road from us, and they every year in the summertime they host it over there. For it. It's a Girl Scout camp over there, but this whole area is just flooded with people. They'll come over and the kids go to the camp, but it's like the parents, because there's a heck of a trout stream that runs right through that camp over there, and I think a lot of them just put the girls in Girl Scouts so they can come over here and fish. You can't fish over there without having to fight through the traffic. I don't even go over there, Camp Sequoia, Delta, Alabama. Well, I bet you'll have fun.
I don't think I've ever heard of Delta, Alabama.
Yeah, it's down right by the Delta. I'm going to be actually in Lake Gunnersville the 14th through the 19th.
That's where my brother does most of his bow fishing trips.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if he's going to be over there and see if he'll take me out for free. Tell him if I actually outshoot him, he's got to give me his boat.
He's getting ready to sell all that.
Where's he going to do, buy another one?
Nah, he's wanting to give up the business.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I mean,
He's fixing to get married, though. He might have a few little juniors running around one day.
he might marry her. I doubt he's ever going to have any juniors. He'll be like me. We'll be kidless. He wasn't meant to have no juniors because he'd be like a drill sergeant to him. but yeah, I asked him why is he selling his business. He's like the boat's getting ready to start breaking down, and when that happens, it's going to start costing and costing and costing. And he said he thought about letting his girlfriend take it over, but I don't think he's going to do that. He just had to get his truck out of shop today for $4,000. He said they had to replace the fuel injectors.
About an hour away from Gunnersville. Harrison's another one, though, that's been with us since the first show.
Yeah. He's a good, loyal subscriber. He comments.
We've actually got a good little following of good folks. I mean, they're starting to come over and watch.
Yeah. And
what I like is, I've said it earlier, though, I like to read through the screen and stuff. That's why I'm kind of tilted over here to the side. But I pick up a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I want to say, too, I've been getting, how many people's in here right now? Let me check and see.
And 9 right now.
So probably ain't hardly nobody gonna hear it anyway, but I've been getting a lot of people that give me friend requests on Facebook, and that's fine and dandy. But if you're on my Facebook and you're watching me and following me, and you see me arguing with this redheaded girl, we will argue like cats and dogs and talk like we hate each other and put each other down and all that kind of stuff. But we're really best of friends, and we argue like that to entertain other people and to entertain ourselves. We're never serious, but we say some really, really bad stuff to each other. So if y'all get on there and y'all see where she's saying, how come I'm not hanging from a rope? It's all in the fun. That's how she talks. That's how we do each other.
My brother and I do that all the time. We'll be sitting in the restaurant. The waitresses will be coming up to us being like, if you guys are going to fight, please take it outside. Like, nah, man, we're just killing each other.
I called Tim the other night, going to talk to him about some stuff, and his brother answered on. I said, "What's up, Peckerwood?" And he was like, "Tim's driving." I was like, "Huh?" He sounds just like him.
Yeah, he's 15 years younger than I am, though.
15 years? Golly. That's a wide difference between two brothers.
Yeah, then I have 8 years for my oldest sister, 9 years for my second oldest sister, and 14 for my youngest sister.
Huh. Fuzz said he can't even get on the microwave, much less Facebook.
I have a Facebook, and I'm very seldom on it. I'll like a few things on there. That's about it. I have one for Crash Bushcraft as well, but I don't never really get on it. I don't really have the time. By the time I get done just with this and everyday work and everything else, I'm pretty much boot.
I don't go on Facebook a lot like I used to, and sometimes I'll go maybe 2 or 3 days to a week without even going on Facebook. But I also have another Facebook page called Alan's Woodworking Art, and I rarely ever go on there unless I get something in my email saying, "Hey, you need to update your page," which usually
That
comes.
one for Crash Bushcraft, I get 500 friend requests a week.
Really?
On it. Yes, it's just loaded with them.
Yeah.
And I haven't even checked them because I haven't put any content up, that much with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, until I started it just so I could make sure I ensured I had the name.
Yeah, I have my Facebook. Honestly, the only reason why I go on is just to keep my friends and family happy and let them know I'm alive. I've lived in almost every state in the country, so I have friends everywhere. And it's just easier to click some update and send them a picture of what I'm doing for the day or whatever, and they're not all hassling me about what's going on.
I go on Facebook for entertainment when I do, but one of the main reasons I go on Facebook now is because I love people telling me how great I am at my birdhouses. So I'll put birdhouses up there and sit here and twiddle my thumbs waiting on comments.
What is Reddit or Reddit?
Re-edit.
I think it's something like Facebook. I don't know. I've never really gotten into it. Same thing with.
That might be something worth checking out. He said they have different communities for bushcraft and survival and sustainability. That sounds like a pretty cool social site.
Yeah, a lot of people use it. I know a lot of my friends use it, but I'm like, be happy I'm on Facebook.
Did you read Fuzz's comment about the 6 sisters?
Yeah, sir. Reddit. See, I was right. I don't know why I even listened to you.
I wasn't reading the comment. I know in computer repairing computers and doing DOS commands, you said, "What is Reddit?" And I was thinking a DOS command is Reddit, like re-edit.
I have no idea. I'm about to fall asleep, guys.
Well, let's shut her down. It's been real, y'all. We've enjoyed the chat like crazy. Enjoy it every Monday. Next Monday will be on my channel. I don't know if I'm going to have a guest star or not. I haven't really given it much thought yet. I don't really think about if I'm going to have a guest star or even what we're going to talk about until after
10 minutes.
Yeah,
10 minutes.
or until after we sign off of here. Then through the week, I'll give it thought on what we're going to talk about and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be on my channel next week. I'll send out the notifications to everybody in my circles.
Yeah, Mike called me up and he's like, Alan just likes to wait till the day before the show to drop on me whatever he plans on doing. So he's
Like,
about
what are we going to be talking about? Like, we'll get off of here, and the next day I'll say, what are we going to talk about? He's like, I don't know yet. I'm going to think something. I'll let you know tomorrow. And I was like, all right, next week, come Monday about 8:45, I'm calling him like, what are we going to talk about? And he's like, I'll call you back in about 15 minutes. And about 9:45, he's like, hey, man, I got this stuff I've been thinking about. I'm like, what? We just gonna wing it, dude. Wing it. But it works out.
Yeah, Campfire Doss is dating myself for sure. I'll tell you a little quick story before we sign off. That's how I learned about DOS. I'd spent most of my life in prison and didn't even know what a computer looked like, basically. And I paroled out to my mom's house one time, and they had a computer, and they was all bragging about computers. And this is like when computers were first starting to come out and where residential people had them, And so for my birthday, my mom got me a computer, and I didn't know a daggum thing about it, and I was breaking it almost every day. I was always clicking on something I shouldn't have clicked on, always doing something I shouldn't have done. And I was always calling my stepdad from downstairs, hey, Walt, will you come up here and fix my computer? Well, he got tired of that one time, and he handed me a DOS book that was about as fat as a yellow page phone book. And he says, I'm not going to fix your computer anymore until you read this whole book. And so I learned everything about DOS. The normal time, Fuzz, is 10 p.m. our time. Where is he at? Where's Fuzz
Eastern Standard Time is ours.
Yeah, we're Eastern Standard, like Georgia, North Carolina time.
9 o'clock Central Time.
Harrison, take care, man. I hope you enjoy your trips and your camp.
We'll catch you later, Harrison.
Everybody else, be cool, man. Go out there and do something in the woods. Have some fun. Life's too short to live it by paying bills and not doing nothing else. Go play.
You can't get to the woods, you can get to your backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate everybody stopping in tonight. So we'll catch you again next week. It'll be on Alan's channel, and I'll let y'all know what we're talking about 2 minutes after I find out. So y'all stick around next week. So we'll catch you later.